All right, everybody. Afternoon, Miss Patton. Let's see, Miss Patton, I'll send you the rotation too, so that you'll kind of get an idea how we're.
Understood, Your Honor, and afternoon to you too.
There you go. There's a rotation. We're going to start. They want to start with Oconee and then Cobb.
Okay, it hadn't come in yet. You just emailed it?
Just now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, yeah, Miss Patton. It's Gandy. Do we got Bostic yet? I don't see Bostic.
I'm here.
Ah, there we go. That wonderful greeting, joyous voice there.
Full of enthusiasm.
Just full of enthusiasm. You got the rotation I sent you, Boston?
I got it. Did I write it down? It's a different question.
Well, yeah, but we're going Oconee first. So we'll take 21 and we're going to take Vincent and Butler first. So who's that in Oconee? So when I call your name, gentlemen, first of all, come on in the booth, have a seat. Come on in the booth, have a seat. Sir, don't pick up the phone to sit in visitation time. Come on in the booth, have a seat. What everybody's got to do, give me a thumbs up if everybody can hear me that's in the booth. Does it? 4 North, thank you, sir. 4 North, booth 4. Can you hear? I think 4 North, booth 4 may have a little trouble, Miss Robinson. 4 North, booth 4.
Can he switch to 4 North booth 3 is open? Can he go to the next door to the 4 North booth 3? The inmate in 4 North booth 1 is going to go out and tell him.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, all you got to do, and ladies, is stay in the booth. Keep your head up and pay attention. Don't put your head down. Understand it's medical call, so they may call you for your meds. Stay in your seat. You can look out and get your meds and come back in, because I'm talking and it's important what I'm saying. I may call your name and you may be outside. So stay in your booth. We'll get through this as quickly as possible. Don't put your head down like you're sleeping. Sit up. I know it's virtual and it's hard to remember you're in a courtroom, but you're in a courtroom, okay? Now, everybody's on mute, so I can't hear you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're on mute. So if I ask you a question, I'll need a thumbs up for a yes or a thumbs down for a no. All right, that's all you're going to be able to do, because nobody's going to be off mute. Come on in, gentlemen. Come on in. Have a seat. Maybe you need to take 4 North booth 4 out. Let's see.
Judge, I'll take it out. I'm going to invite 4 North booth, I think 1, 3. I'll try to see if there's another booth that'll work that I'll invite.
All right. So when I call your name, gentlemen, I don't know your names. Just give me a thumbs up or wave to me so I'll know that it's you, okay? And we'll get you through this as quickly as possible. I'm going to give you we're going to address today is bond and your conditions. And Mr. Wright, we'll get to you as soon as we handle Cobb and Oconee, so we can get you out of here quickly too. All right. So we got, let's see, are you Scott Vincent? All right, here we go. Let's see. We got Mr. Clement. All right, here we go. All right, it's position 21. Bostic, here we go. 23, CP 215782, 150 days without indictment as of April the 27th. There's a $21,000 good bond in VGCSA possession, control, substance in Schedule 1 or 2, possession of drug-related objects, and VGCSA possession, control of substance in Schedule 1 or 2. And then the one with intent to distribute, that was dismissed. So we just got the 3 charges.
21, 30 prior arrests, at least repeat offender, at least 7 felonies, 3 probation violations, 2 parole violations, meth, burglaries, ag assaults. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Clement.
Yes, Judge. So my client is 49 years old. He's a carpenter by trade. He's never had problems maintaining employment when he's out. My client's problem is he's been doing drugs for about 30 years. He's never had an opportunity to do any sort of accountability court. And what we're trying to do here is there are 2 holds on Mr. Vincent right now, one in Henry, one in Clayton. We're trying to get him to Henry to get him enrolled in some sort of drug court. Otherwise, he's just going to languish in Fulton County or, well, Oconee County. So we're asking for a $1,000 bond on each charge, knowing that he is not going to be released into the public. He is just going to go to other jurisdictions. We know he won't leave jail. He'll just leave Fulton. Heck, he's already at another jail right now, and that doesn't seem to be a huge concern. So that's what we're asking for here, Judge.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. You said he was on a $21,000.
Yes, ma'am.
My concern, honestly, is the history. So based upon his history, the state would ask that you leave it in place as is, as he has been assigned a reasonable bond based upon that. However, if Your Honor is inclined to lower it, I'll let the amounts be up to Your Honor's discretion.
All right. So we got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. And previously, Mr. Clement said he must reside at 405 Cottonwood Drive in Stockbridge.
That is correct.
Okay. And stay away from 995 Old Dogwood Road or Roswell, Georgia. Going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, meetings with your lawyer, medical appointments, also employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, or the exact location you're going to be working. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. So you got 5,000 possession of drug-related objects, UJR through the jail, and 5,000 on the other count. 5,000 UJR jail, 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. And if you somehow have a hold that once you bond out, you have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. And stay out of Fulton County, sir, unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. No other reason to come to Fulton County. Thanks, sir. You let Mr. Butler come around. Miss Bell, if you're driving, I'm removing you. All right, let's see. Now we got Lorenzo Butler, Miss Bumpus. Oh, here you go, Miss Bumpus. All right, we got 23 CP 216606, Lorenzo Butler, 194 days without indictment. There's no bond as of March the 1st on criminal damage to property, first degree, interference with government property, and unauthorized possession of a prohibited item by an inmate. Free trial.
21 CP 204616, aggravated assault, carrying a concealed weapon. Also on probation for armed robbery. I stopped writing the number 14 SC something. Sentenced in 2015, 10-year sentence. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Bumpus.
Your Honor, I just asked that the court would set a reasonable bond on this case, as he is entitled to a bond 90 days without indictment. Whatever Your Honor deems as reasonable based on the fact that he is being held on other charges.
And if he gets out, is he going to live in Fulton County?
You can ask him that, Your Honor.
You going to live in Fulton County, sir? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. What says the state?
Yes, Your Honor. I understand this defendant is entitled to a bond, so the state would defer to the court's discretion on setting a bond amount.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 255 Peachtree Street Southwest. Obviously, unless you're incarcerated. It can't keep you away from there if you're incarcerated. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no contraband. No further contact with your co-defendants. Tyler Bowden, Bowden, Brandon Harvey, Corey Cantrell, and Christopher Casey. 5, 5, 5, and 5. 15,000, 5 on each. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Oconee.
And Your Honor, that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you, Ms. Bumpus. Thank you, Oconee.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We got Cobb. Do we have? They're not in there, so we need to go to ACDC. Ms. Jacqueline Scott. All right. Ricky Richardson.
That's me, Judge.
All right, sorry. There's like 50 squares, so it rolls over to my other one. Sorry about that. All right, position 11, Bostic 23, CP 217073, 99 days without indictment. No bond as of March the 21st. Aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Pre-trial.
7 prior arrests, misdemeanor DUI, 2014, carrying criminal damage to property, interference with government property, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this defendant is entitled to a bond, and as such, will need to be grant one. But I would like to note that speaking to my victim advocate, the family is against bond in this case. However, as previously stated, because we're over the 90-day mark, he is entitled to a bond. State would ask that the aggravated assault charge be no less than $40,000 and the possession of a firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies be no less than $7,500. Stay away from the incident location, no contact with the victim, an ankle monitor provided by the county with a 24-hour curfew, with the exceptions of medical, legal, and I'm not sure if he has children, but childcare if he does. No weapons while out on bond as well. Nothing further.
Does the victim advocate have an update on the condition of the alleged victim who was shot in the stomach?
Yes, Judge. I believe I spoke to her, either her mother or her daughter over the weekend. They're strongly against bond. I'm not sure how she's doing medically, but they are against the bond.
Okay, but you explained to her, I'm assuming that she's statutorily entitled to one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Mr. Richardson.
Yes, Judge. Ms. Scott is a lifelong resident of Metro Atlanta area. She is the mother of 3 children, has no felony convictions that I'm aware of. I heard some arrests. She's employed with a national transportation company, has been so employed for the last 5 years. Judge, the incident is such that the location where it occurred, this incident was alleged to have occurred, was actually her area, her territory, and this other person assaulted her, but that's for another day and another event. Judge, the purpose of bond is to ensure that she's present in court, not to be punishing. She has her mother here. She has 3 siblings here. She attended high school, elementary school. Her entire family is here. She is not at risk of flight or a danger to the community. We'd ask the court to set a good bond amount of $20,000. She has children, 10, 7, and I believe 3. Her sisters have been kind of standing in the gap for her, but it is a great deal for them to take care of such young children. So we'd ask the court to set the bond as a good bond, that she have no contact with the young lady have no contact with her. It is typically over a man in this instance. That's what it was. She had the guy, she wanted the guy, she approached her. There was a squabble between them and a discharge. But like I said, Judge, there in fact is a second gun and multiple witnesses, but we'd ask the court to set a $20,000 good bond, no contact with that alleged victim, and to have the victim not made contact with her. That is all, Your Honor.
All right. It looks like the alleged victim has logged on. Hold on 1 second. So she can turn on her. Well, so victim advocate, ma'am, did she say she wanted to say anything? If not, I'm just going to move on.
She did want to give a statement, Your Honor.
Okay, let's see. She's having trouble connecting to audio.
Am I allowed to question her, Judge?
Sure, absolutely. Let's let her. Let's see, we're waiting her to connect to audio. Is Isaac Barnes, are you in the booth? Wait a minute. All right, so Mr. Barnes, your attorney, Mr. Wright, has filed a motion to withdraw. Were you served with that?
Your Honor,
Uh-huh.
I have not filed it because I have to hand file, so I'll be filing that tomorrow. I've
Okay.
talked to Mr. Barnes's people, and I believe I'm going to represent him for this hearing.
Okay, you're gonna represent for this hearing. So Mr. Barnes, if he's gonna represent you for this hearing, you're gonna need to find somebody else before the next hearing, okay? All right, so she's not connecting the audio, I mean, I kind of got to keep moving.
Your Honor, may I clarify something for the record?
Sure.
My apologies. I was looking at my own handwriting, which I couldn't read. I stated 40,000. The state would be requesting 80,000 based upon the injuries of this defendant
All right.
or victim, rather. I'm sorry.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2135 Godby Road. She's gonna live in Fulton County, Mr. Richardson?
Yes, Your Honor, that's where her home and her family or children are.
All right, no further contact with Adrian Hewitt, Huitt. You gotta have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And also basic life necessities. So ma'am, that'll also include stuff that you have to do to take care of your children. And that'll be paid for by the county. 50,000 count one, 10,000 count two. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. Have a
Thank you.
excuse.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. So do we have Keno Bell? Kind of wave your hand the best you can when if you're keen. All right. Okay, we got position 8, Bostic Keno Bell, 23 CP 217148, 96 days without indictment, no bond as of March the 24th for possession, manufacture, distribution, synthetic cannabis, synthetic marijuana with intent to distribute, VGCSA possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute. Also, position 9, 23 CP 217149, 96 days without indictment, no bond as of March the 24th, criminal damage to property, arson in the first degree. Pre-trial.
11 prior arrests on probation, 2 separate cases in the same day. Cocaine with intent, Schedule 1 or 2 with intent, Schedule 4 with intent, marijuana with intent, 1 case. Other cases, marijuana with intent, firearm with intent. Sentence 11019. 3 years confinement, 7 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, do we have the lawyer here for Mr. Bell?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Ben Githier here on behalf of Mr. Bell.
All right, there you go. All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Keno Bell has been in custody since March 23rd, 2023 without a bond. It's been over 90 days since he's been confined in the dangerous and violent Fulton County Jail. Your Honor, Keno checks all the boxes as far as meeting the requirements laid out by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Ayala decision. All of his ties are here in the Atlanta area, his place of birth, where he's lived for the past 32 years. He attended Thurl High School. After high school, he returned back to the community, began working at various warehouse jobs. Keno's never been afraid of working, held numerous jobs over the years, including acting as the doorman for Touch Up Profession Beauty Salon. Judge, I've been told that he can return to work at the salon should he be granted a reasonable bond and be able to post that bond. He'll also be able to return his family, which consists of his 2 children, aged 10 and 15. Unfortunately, he missed the end of this school year. He's an active participant. He helps out with homework, make sure they have food for the next day. And again, he is the main supportive income for his family. So it's been eating him up that he wasn't able to be there for the end of the school year, but he's hopeful he'll be able to at least be able to return home and sustain the basic necessities for them, food, clothing, and shelter, not only throughout the summer, but again, when the next school year begins. Judge, he's not a flight risk. He's not likely to reoffend. There's no witnesses that he will intimidate, and there's it's our position that he's no likelihood to reoffend. For those reasons, Judge, I would ask that you set a bond on these on both cases. We'd be asking for a bond in the amount of $20,000 on each one. It's kind of a high request. However, I don't want to insult the court by asking for a lower amount that I think would be reasonable. So that would be our request to the court today.
All right, so it's alleged 41 grams of oxy and 800 grams of marijuana and setting fire to a car. That's what we're saying. Miss Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. For position number 23 CP 217148, that's position number 8. For the purchase, possession, manufacture, synthetic cannabis charge, state was recommending $7,500. For the VGCSA, possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, state is recommending $15,000. For position number 9, 23 CP 217149, for the criminal damage to property, state is recommending $2,500. For the arson in the first degree, state is recommending $45,000. And I didn't add up for the total.
Okay. All right. So on position 8, ending in 7148, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1683 Lakewood Avenue. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working, and basic life necessities. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. So I got 7,500 count 1, 12,000 count 2, 7,500, 12,000. And we got on position 9, ending in 7149. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 342 Triumph Circle Southeast. No further contact with anyone. Roteich, Roteich, Robinson. Roteich Robinson. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. Also, basic life necessities. 2,000 count 1, 25,000 count 2. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, counsel. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good one.
All right. Otis White. All right, Miss Bumpus is number 1, Bostic. 23 CP 217295, 289 days without indictment, aggravated assault, battery. There's no bond as of March the 3rd. And Miss Bumpus, I'll put this on my email to Miss Willis, reminding them that he's been in that long without indictment. Go ahead, Bostic. Preach. Rah.
Multi-state offender arrest in Florida and Alabama. Here. Just took a plea, 22 SC 185-293, 6/2023 on a battery and obstruction, 1 year confinement, 2 years probation. Also has a prior firearm by a convicted felon. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Bumpus.
Your Honor, I believe she asked to be excused on our
Oh,
last.
she did. I guess she forgot about this one. I don't even think I have her number.
Judge, it's Renee. I'll call her.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And just give me the client's name one more time.
Otis White.
Otis White.
Yeah. All right. Stand by, sir. We'll come back to you. We'll go to Ernest Williams, Mr. Lewis. Now, position number 2, Bostic. These are, I think you got 3 or 4.
Good afternoon to you, first and foremost. Do you have Ernest Williams?
Ernest Williams. Wave your hand. Yep, we got him right there.
That's
not him.
He's waving his hand like he's Ernest Williams.
That's not him, though.
Booth 3. Is your name not Ernest Williams?
There's 2 Ernest Williams currently incarcerated, actually.
Are you Ernest Laveret? Leverett?
Yeah, that's not him.
That's not him. Don't know what to
Judge,
say.
I can have I can get Lieutenant Coughlin, they can stand by and you can just look and see if there's a different Ernest Williams listed.
All right. Well, Mr. Williams, can you step out and get that deputy?
If he ain't called, Judge, he can't. He might not be able to step out.
Oh, no, it's unlocked.
Oh, okay. Judge, oh, well, I guess the lieutenant ain't listening. Is the person who's contacting the lieutenant listening?
I don't know. She may be on the phone with him already.
All right. The one she.
Hey, deputy. So we need Ernest Leverett Jr.
He is.
That's the hold on. That's the wrong Ernest Williams, deputy.
The one.
Hold on. You need the booking number for the one we're looking for.
Curtis Everett, you said Williams.
Ernest Leverett Williams Jr. is one we need.
Judge, let me cut. When they're looking for 04, Oscar 4.
Oscar 4. Thank you. Who's Leverett Ernest?
All right, anyway, we'll see if we can't get that. Let's see. How about Isaac Barnes?
Ernest Jr.
Isaac Barnes.
Ernest Williams.
All right, we got one more. How about Otis? Let's see. Otis White out. Isaac Barnes. All right, Mr. Barnes.
Judge, Miss Bumpus just got admitted.
Oh, okay. Gonna mute Cobb County back. There you go. All right, Miss Bumpus.
I left too early.
Yeah, all right, you got the one more. On Otis White. Bostic, go ahead. Pre-trial on Otis White again.
Um, 20 arrests in Florida, 2 in Georgia, 5 felonies, 2017, firing back convicted felon. Currently just took a plea, 6/2023, a battery and obstruction, 1 year confinement, 2 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Bumpus. There's no bond as of March the 3rd. He's been in 289 days. I'm going to send I will send his name in the case number, Miss Willis, so that she'll remember that he's been in that long without being indicted.
Yes, Your Honor, I would just ask that based off the fact that he's been in custody for such a long time that he be granted a signature bond.
All right, Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor. Did you say he was on a no bond status?
Yes. Yep, as of March the 30th, 2023, no bond status.
But he's been in for 257 days?
289 days without indictment.
But how could he be in a no bond status? This is the first time he's been in front of us?
He was in front of somebody on March the 3rd.
So he would have been required to get a bond then.
Don't even get me started, Miss Patton.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm truly confused.
You're absolutely right, but don't get me started. This isn't the first one.
Okay. For this defendant, the state would just defer to the court, noting that this defendant has had previous violent charges. He also is a multi-state offender, and there is a risk of flight and a significant likelihood to reoffend based upon his previous violent charges. We also would note that there's potentially a danger to the victim and community, but again, the state would defer to the court at this time.
All right. So got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Dontavious, Dontavious Ellis, Ellis. No further contact with your co-defendants. That's DeAndre Norris, Eugene McWhite, Cameron Longio, Longio, and Ricky Lockhart. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, and basic life necessities. Mr. White, are you going to live in Fulton County? Thumbs up or thumbs down? All right. You still have that ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. 15,000 and 5,000. 15,000, 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, now thank you. I don't see you on anything else.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see. Isaac Barnes. All right, Mr. Barnes. We got position 25, Bostic, 23, CP 216702. Isaac Barnes, 116 days without indictment. As of March the 4th, 2023, there's no bond on aggravated assault and simple battery. Pre-trial.
Barnes Isaac, 3 in Georgia, 13 in New Mexico, a misdemeanor. Open case 21 CP 202093 for aggravated assault. Victim is Carson Evans. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor, my client's 34 years of age. He is a U.S. citizen. He does have a very English accent, but I wanted to just clarify he is a U.S. citizen. Has, I want to say, a total of 10 brothers and sisters here in the States. He has one 15-year-old son. Ultimately, he would be living at 4550 Wenden, W-E-N-D-E-N Lane in Marietta, Georgia, 362. He also has employment waiting for him to be a manager at a Waffle House, and that is located in Alpharetta. Ultimately, Your Honor, the other CP case you heard about was where a co-worker at a bar they were working got into a fight with him. That case is yet to be indicted, even though it happened back in August of 2021. This is a case where he went into an Apple store trying to get a repair done, got into an argument with security, and somehow, I don't know how this is an aggravated assault, but it's been charged as such. But it sounds like a scuffle with security turned into an ag assault charge along with battery. because of the length of time he's been in there, I think he's actually been a victim to some of the chaos that's happening at the Fulton jail. But bottom line, I would ask that the court to consider a lower bond than what we would normally see on aggravated assault, being that this really was simply an argument turned physical. I don't believe there was any allegation of weapons associated with this at the Apple store. So I would ask for a total bond of possibly $5,000 on the aggravated assault, $2,500 on the simple battery, for a total bond of $7,500 on behalf of Mr. Barnes.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. State is requesting for the aggravated assault $20,000, for the simple battery $2,500. This is based upon the defendant's history and the fact that I believe Officer Bostic mentioned at least one open ag assault currently. That being said, we believe this defendant shows as a significant likelihood to reoffend. We also would add that no contact with the victim be put in place.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Robert Colombo or Douglas Thomas. Stay away from 130 Avalon Boulevard in Alpharetta, Georgia. Trying to find it. Well. Anyway, that's the address. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Also, stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court. See your lawyer, or obviously employment, since you go to work at that one Waffle House. But that's the only reason you come. So if you get at another Waffle House that's not in Fulton County, the only reason you come to Fulton County's court and to see your lawyer. So 10,000 count one, 2,500 count two. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
All right, thank you, Judge.
All right, you can leave the booth, sir. All right, let's see. Richard Wood. This is Rhonda or whoever's. I got you. Let's wait on Miss Rhonda. There you go. All right. His position 2, Bostic. Now he came from DOC, so he's only been here 8 days. That's not, so if I say 8 days, he was in DOC and transferred from there. So I got 22 CP 213968, Richard Wood. There was a $2,000 split bond as of November the 14th of 2022. Theft by receiving stolen property. Receipt, possession, transport of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of a felony, purchase, possession, or have control of any substance in control. 3, 4, 5, equipment violation, tail lights, drugs not in original container, marijuana less than an ounce, and willful obstruction.
12 prior arrests, couple of misdemeanors, felonies, purchase, manufacturing, sale of marijuana, burglary, criminal attempt at a felony, and aggravated assault, couple of arrests for probation violations, nothing further.
And Ms. Rhonda is alleged 13.5 grams of Xanax and 2.2 grams of marijuana. Go ahead, Ms. Rhonda.
Yes, before you was Mr. Wood. He is 28 years old and a lifelong resident of Georgia. He does have a good address. It's the Holt Road where he would be able to live with his mother and stepdad. They are present and here to show their support of their son. He does have his GED and did do some college at both Northwest Tech and Chattahoochee Tech, where he studied programming and computer support. Prior to his arrest, he had started his own business doing home renovations and home remodeling. It was a pretty new business when he was arrested, so he's still in the process of getting this business up on its feet and operating. With that in mind, I would ask if Your Honor is inclined to set a curfew for Mr. Wood, if we could have an exception for work, or if Your Honor deems appropriate, only a nighttime curfew so that he would have the ability during the day to do what he needs to do to get his business up off the ground and successful. He was arrested back in November. He was at the Rice Street Jail for about 55 days before he was sent to the DOC for a probation violation, but he never made bond. In fact, the first 4 charges are a no bond status. So really, he has been in Fulton custody. He never bonded out for 225 days, entitling him to bond on the first 4 charges. I would ask charges 5, 6, 7, and 8 not be disturbed, and for charges 1 through 4 to be set not to exceed $20,000.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Patton.
No objection with Ms. Rondon's suggestion, with the court's discretion on how to break down the 20,000 on the first 4 charges. Probably 5 each would be my guess.
Yeah. All right. So 5,000 per count, 1 through 4 on counts 5, 6, 7, and 8. Leave those at go put all those as they're like tail lights in original container. All those are UJR through the jail. Except for 8 will stay at 1,000. So 5, 5, 5, 5, UJR jail, UJR jail, UJR jail, 1,000. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 29 Moreland Avenue. No further contact with Jerry Erickson. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. Also, so, sir, when it says 24 hours, as long as you can say, I'm going here for work or to work on my job or going to the grocery store, taking my mom to the hospital. And see, I don't know what else I could put in there. How about yeah, so if you're doing something, get your business started, you need to make sure they know it's for your business. Got that, sir?
And Your Honor, I apologize. I would like to ask for one more exception to the curfew. He does, or prior to his arrest, he was attending NA meetings, and he did express interest in attending them again once he is released.
If you're going to do that, that's fine. Do you understand it? Don't do this. I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Not of this. Thumbs up. All right, I got you. So that'll be paid for by the county. That's a 24-hour curfew, but it means if you're not doing one of those things, you're at home, okay? So 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, UJR, 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 1,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, let's see. Austin Kirkland. All right, thank you, sir. Number 10, I've got 23 CP 217645, 76 days without indictment, no bond as of April the 13th. For possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, allegedly 4 ounces. Pre-trial.
Did you say number 10, Kirkland? 12 prior arrests, at least 3 felonies, marijuana with the intent to theft by receiving firearm on 1 case, of aggravated assault, and Schedule 1 substances, open case in DeKalb for firearm by a convicted felon in Fulton 23 CP 216193. Firearm by convicted felon, obstruction, couple of FTAs, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Moran.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Kirkland, I want to start off by letting you know this, that Mr. Kirkland was arrested initially back in February. I believe it was February 12th was the date of the incident where he was initially arrested. He was given a bond at his first appearance on that companion case and then was rearrested on this case that's before the court today on additional charges that relate to the same incident. So I just want the court to be aware that this is not a separate case where he was arrested on a separate incident, all relates to the same date. He's now been in custody for over 70 days on this case with no bond. Mr. Kirkland works for Alliance Laundry Systems. I have a letter of recommendation from them saying he still has his job open. He's also recently opened his own business, AAA Kirkland Cleaning. He has 2 minor children who are dependents of his, both age 6 years old. He also is the caretaker for his sister's two of his sister's children, who his sister has been diagnosed recently with multiple types of cancer and is physically incapacitated. If he were to be released on bond, he would be living at 3648 Fairlane Drive Northwest. That is in Atlanta, Georgia, in Fulton County, zip codes 30331. He has lived at that residence for 20 years. He's a lifelong resident of Atlanta. He's 33 years old and was born here and has lived here his whole life. Mr. Kirkland, I would state that he does meet the 4 IAL factors. He's not a flight risk. Has not, as far as I know, has never been charged with fleeing and eluding. He has not missed any appearances in relation to the other court date, the other case that he has open that also relates to the same incident date. Mr. Kirkland has some serious medical issues in between when he was released on his case earlier this year and when he was rearrested on additional charges for that case. Or I guess it's a different case, but same date. He was in a car accident and broke his shoulder. He was planning on getting surgery on that shoulder when he was then rearrested and has not received any medical treatment for that since he's been in custody in Fulton County. Additionally, there was an incident in the Fulton County Jail where he was attacked by 4 other inmates. One of them kicked Mr. Kirkland in his face and he lost a tooth as a result of that incident. Before this incident that is charged in the case before you today, he had not been in trouble for 6 years. He had been steadily employed, living with his family, taking care of his kids and his nephews. And so I would ask that the court set a reasonable bond on this case, particularly in consideration that this court did already set a bond on charges that relate to the same incident. And he has been in custody since then with no bond. Specifically, I would ask for a bond not to exceed $10,000 in this case. The charges before the court are possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of marijuana. I believe that the allegations in this case are that after he was arrested at a Walmart on the first case, the police then did a search of a vehicle and found marijuana and a firearm, and that's the basis for these new charges. So with that being said, I would ask that the court set a reasonable bond not to exceed $10,000 in this case. And if the court does impose any restrictions such as an ankle monitor or curfew, that he be allowed to, one, take the kids to school that he's in charge of taking care of, that he be allowed to attend doctor's appointments for his shoulder and his tooth. He also suffers from arthritis, so for that as well. And that's it. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Bostic, you said he had an open possession of firearm by convicted felon in Fulton and in Cobb. Is that correct?
No, I didn't say that. It's Fulton.
It's what?
Fulton.
Just Fulton?
Just Fulton.
Okay.
Yes, this case that's before the court right now is a possession of a firearm and possession of marijuana.
But does he have an additional one in Fulton? That's what I'm asking, that's open.
There is an additional case in Fulton County that's open. Both of those two cases relate to the same incident date, February 12th, 2023. He was initially arrested on 3 charges, which included obstruction, theft by shoplifting misdemeanor, and possession of a firearm or knife during the attempt to commit certain felonies. He was then given bond at first appearance, released, and then rearrested on additional charges that relate to the same incident date. So it is technically 2 cases, but it should be one. It all relates to the same incident.
Understood. Thank you. State is recommending for the possession of firearm by convicted felons. State is recommending $15,000 for the purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana. State is recommending $5,000. This is based upon the defendant's history. Also, I would like to add a ankle monitor as provided by the county with a 24-hour curfew with the exception of legal, medical, and child care. Sounds like he has some children that he needs to take to child care. No drugs without legal prescription and no weapons, which he's not supposed to have anyway while out on bond.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1105 Research Center Drive. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, that includes dental. Employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. And I say basic life necessities, including transportation of your kids. An ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. You got 10,000 count 1, 2,000 count 2. Best of luck to you, sir. 10 and 2, 12,000. You can leave the booth.
Judge, just before he leaves the booth, it's 76 days on that, so it won't be filed until the 91st day.
Right.
The bond order won't be filed till the 91st day?
Right. Just following instructions.
Is there a reason for that, Your Honor? I apologize for the delay.
Following instructions.
Bullshit.
Oh, see you later, Miss Ferguson. Goodbye. Appreciate that. Don't let Miss Ferguson back in.
Sorry about that, Your Honor.
That's okay. Yep. All right.
Thank you
Best
for
of
your
luck to you, sir.
consideration.
So we'll
Have a
count
great
out the
day.
days. It'll be put in place on the 91st day. All right.
Very well. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ernest Williams. Don't let that lady back in. Ernest Williams, wave your hand.
I heard you,
One.
judges.
All right. Here we go. It's position. It's those 4 cases, I think, for Mr. Williams. Position 2 is 22 CP 210 500, 355 days without indictment. There's a $15,000 bond as of 10/31/22 for theft by deception. Let's see, 22 CP 211078, Ernest Williams, 355 days without indictment. $75,000 good bond as of December the 31st, 2022, with 3 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony. Position 4 is 22 CP 2125 59, 355 days without indictment with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony. And there is a $20,000 split bond as of 10/17/2022. Position 5, 355 days without indictment, 23 CP 215407. I'm assuming you want me to waive, Mr. Lewis?
Sure.
All right. I can say it if you want me to, or do you want me to waive?
I don't think Mr. Williams cares. Well, yeah, wait, Judge.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 other felonies on there that have to do with the nudity, let's say. No bond as of January the 13th, 2023. Freak! Rah!
As in regards to Mr. Williams, still other open cases, 22 SC 18443, theft by taking, theft by deception, 22 SC 184-402, theft of services, deposit account fraud. Both of those are assigned to Judge Edwards. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
All right, Judge. You mentioned all the days on Mr. Williams. So I don't find it to be a good use of anybody's time to go back through all of that. I believe Mr. Williams, my client, is now 59 years old. When I believe when this case first began, he was 58 years of age. Judge, he was born in Augusta, Georgia. He has lived in the Atlanta area since 1994. From 2015 to 2019, he lived in California. He got married in 2015, Judge. He is the father of 6 kids and 4 grandchildren, some of them in the state of Georgia. His oldest granddaughter is a student at Georgia State University. Judge, he has owned grooming parlors, some barbershops, both in Peachtree and Far Road, as well as in Sandy Springs. He sold some businesses, some land to the city of Atlanta in 2016 from those first sets of business. In 2021, he opened a new location, Nesto's Grooming, which 2 doors down from the old location. That business has been dissolved partially because of what is going on today with him sitting in. So in other words, he's losing money from his businesses from being in here. And that has been testified also to by one of the law enforcement officers from Roswell. He had owned an unarmed security service, Nesto's Elite Security Company, where he had a number of 1099 persons working for him. Judge, my client has a number of felonies in his past. Those felonies go all the way back to the 80s. He's got he's got one in 2008, which looks like it is a merger, meaning when they're doing the sentence on one, they're doing the sentence on the other. And there is a deal, and my client decides to take the deal. His wife resides in Buckhead, and you will see, and I think that is the Buckhead community. She doesn't say Buckhead on her affidavit, but she does reside in Fulton County and in Buckhead. Judge, his history, there's nothing in the last 10 years. He's never been in one of these cases accused him of attempting to pass somebody off as a lawyer. His co-defendant in that case has a consent signature bond that has been signed off on. I believe Mr. Majeski can tell you more about that when he's to it. He has never himself been involved or accused or convicted of anything that involves a person passing themselves off as a lawyer or impersonating anybody ever in life. This last case that came about involves, if my understanding is correct, and I don't know because I haven't received discovery on it since it hasn't been indicted, a single photograph that was found on a computer that the prosecution, well, not even the prosecution at this point, I guess it's still the police because it's not indicted or accused, claimed was my client's, and that he was in possession of either the computer or the photograph that's on there. My client has never been accused of anything involving nudity or anything else with children. He has been convicted of things like armed robbery in his past, and that occurred in Cobb County. I believe he was sentenced to 5 years back then on that. Bank fraud when he came to pick up a check that they said was cleared, and he was arrested on the scene. That's his federal case. So that's the kind of stuff my client has been convicted of in his past. And so far, nothing else has happened on these cases. The oldest you've quoted the dates on, the youngest you've quoted the dates on, all of those dates are beyond the 90 days, some of them beyond 180 days. So what I'm asking for, Judge, is on every last one of these cases, if and where you can, that you enter in a unsecured judicial release that mirrors his co-defendant on one case that she has with him that was consented to, and on another case where there's 14 counts where she engages or is alleged to have engaged in similar behavior as to what she is accused of in this case. On the rest of them, Judge, I'm asking for a UJR, but in no instance of an amount of a bond greater than $5,000 per count. On one of the bonds, I believe that you signed, Judge, you tell him he can't be with his wife. I'm going to ask that you.
Is that Melody Scretchen?
No, it's the other lady, the SS lady.
Oh, Strawberry.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, let him be with his wife before we end up having a divorce matter in Fulton County. Judge, also, you tell him he can't reside. I have an affidavit. His wife is a person of some public notoriety. She's given me the affidavit, Judge. I did not file it in because if it's filed, she likes to kind of remain private where she can, when she can. And so she asked that you take the necessary measures. If you want that filed in the court, we can do that. We can publish it directly to you right now, so that her address doesn't become common knowledge for her public. Although she loves her public to death, she wants some privacy occasionally as well. And so that's what we're asking for, Judge. I believe that's the sum total of it. I'm sorry. There are two other matters that my client has in his history that I've been told of, but I haven't been provided with anything on. I understand that he has a warrant for a misdemeanor case out of Henry County that's still awaiting. And I've been told that there's a matter in California that the California doesn't want to extradite. I can't provide you. I wish I could give you more on that, but I can't. I don't have it. All right. So that's my request. And I thank you for hearing me.
All right, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on. This will be Kevin Majeski for the state judge, and this will also be ADA Lisa Taylor. I wish I could be quick on this one, Judge. This is an extremely dangerous person we're dealing with here. And there's going to be numerous upcoming warrants coming in this case. I believe Roswell told us today when we checked for an update, before the 13th, there's going to be about 15 plus more warrants coming his direction, serious felonies in there, for sure. The reason it was the 13th was so particular is because the last time that these particular cases were heard was in the month of January by Judge Belinda Edwards. She actually heard all the CP cases, and she also heard all the SC cases. Then she entered a ruling on one of the SC cases on the record, and for whatever reason, didn't put anything else on the record for the other ones. But Mr. Lewis and I had about, I think it was a 2.5 hour bond motion on that particular one that day. This will be considerably shorter. Yes. But Judge Edwards heard them back then. And if you note the bond order that she did file in, I believe was on 22 SC 184403, she denied bond in that case and left the no bond in 22 SC 184402, noting that he was an extreme likelihood to commit additional felonies. Going back to his history, Judge, of course, as Mr. Lewis correctly stated, starts in the 80s. He has a laundry list of crimes of moral turpitude that he's committed, multiple armed robberies. There was the one in Cobb, but he also committed another one in Douglas County as well. Got 10 years of custody for that, a short custody time in the first one, 10 years in the next one. Then, of course, false statements, multiple FTAs, probation violations, and the bank fraud, which he actually did get federal time for as well. So it was a little bit more complicated than it was held out to be today. He's an ANC recidivist. To address Mr. Lewis's statements that he made about the California cases, it's true, he does actually have 2 warrants for his arrest out of California. Those are, as Mr. Lewis said, non-extradition warrants that he has present in both those cases. And we have the reports and the warrants in those cases in our file. They have to deal, both of those cases have to do with transporting stolen cars back here to Atlanta, actually, is what it says in both of those reports. One of them was out of LA County and one of them was out of Orange County, I believe. And then, of course, there is the case that the other county in Georgia has the hold on him for as well, Judge. When it comes down to these particular cases, I will note for the court that he does, I believe it's on case number 22 CP 212559. That case became kind of like an amalgamation of a few cases when it got entered in the clerk's office. I believe there's 3 charges on there that have no bond currently. We did address that in front of Judge Edwards, as Mr. Lewis could tell you as well, last time we were there, and I agreed with him. He was entitled to a bond then, still is now. And I had proposed, when Mr. Lewis and I had talked, a bond of $25,000 per on those particular charges. Reason I proposed that particular bond is because that particular bond mirrored what he had in the other case, which was $25,000 good as well. Judge, we consider this person to be a flight risk. We have jail calls where he's talking about going to see his girlfriend in Florida, multiple times actually. We have a call where he was talking with his wife about going to stay in her boss's house. I'm going to leave out all the names here, as Mr. Lewis did as well, about her boss's house in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, quite far away from here, quite far removed from any court's jurisdiction here. And just the general scheme that's been going on here, Judge, when we were last in front of Judge Edwards, she put us on the clock, said, you guys got to get this done. You guys got to get this investigation done. We've been working with Roswell off and on, talking to them to see where their investigation is. It's on schedule. It will be done by the 13th. He'll be served with, like I said, 15 plus new warrants, some of which are very serious that this court, just to put it out there, that this court may not even be able to consider, unfortunately. It would have to be considered by a sitting elected Superior Court judge. And for that reason, I would have to recommend the $25,000 per on the 22 CP 212559. I believe that the other ADA Taylor, has something to say about 23 CP 215407 and the state's recommendation for bond in that particular matter, Judge.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Your Honor. Yes, as Mr. Majeski has stated, he's considered dangerous. There are several pending warrants that will be coming out that, based on their content alone, there's a great likelihood that he's someone who will commit further felonies. Furthermore, without mentioning the facts of the case in front of us, children were involved. The state is requesting a bond, knowing that he has to have a bond because it's been well over 200 days, a bond of $200,000 per count, giving us a grand total of $800,000 bond for the case involving the exploitation. There are 4 separate counts there. As standard, I would also request that there be an ankle monitor placed on Mr. Williams, as well as that he surrender his passport, not leave Fulton County, have no internet access at all, and no contact with any minors or animals. But again, he's met all of the Ayala factors. He's a flight risk as evidenced by phone calls that we've heard.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
and Judge, just one more thing. If the court is inclined to grant a bond on this, which would see him released, the state does have a number of people we would be requesting no contact with as well.
All right.
Before you go, I'm sorry, Mr. Majeski, finish up.
Oh, no problem. Melody Scretchen,
Okay.
Gail Bickham, Alasia Alexander, Leilani Thwaites, that's THW, Miles Williams, Lakeisha Williams, Brianna Jordan, Deborah Johnson, Sheridan Strawberry and her kids, Olivia Washington, and Erica King or Erica Hughley. That was the person Mr. Lewis was referring to earlier, who is her co-defendant in this particular matter, Judge. And yes, the court did, as he noted, we did enter into a consent bond with her. That was for reasons, of course, that we're not discussing here in court today.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, Judge, one other thing, and I would, so the other thing that I've got, Judge, is although Mr. Majeski speaks of these things, and so does Ms. Taylor, there was no evidence offered to any of these things that are now being alluded to during that hearing that lasted for 2.5 hours. None of it. There was, and I permitted it, Judge, during the closing argument of the state, I permitted them to talk. I didn't object to any of it, where promises were made about upcoming charges upcoming to Judge Edwards. And we have made it from January 31st all the way now to June the 26th. And we're told that in the future, something will be coming. I'm asking this court to give the future no credit whatsoever, because we had a whole bunch of future between January 31st and June the 30th. And if we keep on giving the future credit where things don't show up, we'll have a person sitting in jail who hasn't, not the issue of not being convicted, but not even accused and being held. And so I'm going to ask the court, reiterate my request to you before, UJR, no more than 5,000 counting everything. And I did not hear Ms. Taylor tell us whether that was more than one picture in those 5 counts or not, but I thought it was one picture, or at least I believe that's what Mr. Majeski told me, but it's been so long ago since he talked about that. I can't rightfully remember right now. Thank you.
It's 4.
Your
I can
Honor.
no, it's 4.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Clark.
Yeah,
Ms. Taylor, sorry.
Mr. Majeski addressed it. There were numerous images, actually. And as a matter of fact, the reason the case is still ongoing, the investigation is ongoing. Several more witnesses have come forward between January and now. They're still coming forward. We're trying to have a thorough investigation before we just indict. We can't just.
I got you. All right. Bob South, booth 1, head up. Everybody sit up straight, sit up straight. Trust me, I'm tired too, but I've been working all day. Sit up straight. There you go. All right. Position 2, ending in 0500. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You must surrender your passport to Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis will put it in his safe that he has with all his money locked up in. Cannot leave Fulton County, cannot leave the state of Georgia. Stay away from 7100 Suttles Drive. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew with an ankle monitor paid for by the county. You can leave for court, medical, employment, attorney's visits, job, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location it'll need to be working. It'll obviously need to be in Fulton County. No further contact with Melody Scretchen, Scretchen. If you got all that right on that one, that'd be a $5,000 good bond. Position 3, ending in 1078, 5,000 each count. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Erica Hughley, Shirley Strawberry, Erica, let's see, Brandon, oh goodness, okay, let's see, Gail Blickham, Alana Alexandra, you said? Layla, oh gosh, you got to go, Mila Williams.
Judge and Deputy Clerk, I think it was Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
Requested that I send her all the names. I'm going to be doing that as soon as you.
All right, good. You rattled those off. So those names: cannot leave Georgia, cannot leave Fulton County, must surrender your passport to Mr. Lewis. Like I said, he'll stick it away where he's got all his money. All right,
Judge, clear it up for me, please. You mentioned Shirley Strawberry. You did not mean to mention Shirley Strawberry. Is that correct?
Sheridan.
Sheridan. Okay, yes.
Sheridan. Sorry, Sheridan.
Okay.
So Sheridan Strawberry, Sheridan. I apologize. I've marked through that. That's why I guess I'm
okay.
Right. You got the ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical visits, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. And you can just lift all those on that one, Ms. Hunter. Position 4, ending in 2559. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. No further contact with your co-defendant, Erica Hughley. And here I've got Sheridan Strawberry and Amanda Johnson. No further contact with them. 5,000 on each count. Position 5, 5407. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. You can't leave Fulton County. You have to turn over your passport to Mr. Lewis. No further contact with anyone under the age of 18. No social media, no internet access. Surrender your passport, like I said, and you cannot leave Fulton County. 200,000 on each count. Best of luck to you, sir.
Judge, are you appending that language too, if in fact he's got that hold in Henry County that the ankle monitor gets fitted upon return?
Yeah, he'll have 48 hours to have the ankle monitor placed on his ankle if there's a Henry County.
Right. Okay.
I think I covered everything, right? Internet access and or animals. I've got animals. No contact with any animals of any kind.
Okay, no animals. Gotcha.
All right. Thank you much, Mr. Lewis. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
And Judge, would you like me to copy you on that list of names as well?
Sure, that'd be good. You can do that. Thanks.
I know. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
All right. Thank you.
All right. All right. Tyrone Morrow. Tyrone Morrow. Thank you. All right, this is position 22 CP 208581, 427 days without indictment, $141,000 good bond as of February the 16th, 2023. Got armed robbery, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, aggravated assault, obstruction of a law enforcement officer, felony, aggravated assault. Let's see. The aggravated assault was dismissed. Fleeing or attempting to elude. So there is no, there's only one aggravated assault. Yes. There's one aggravated assault and then fleeing and attempting to elude. Wait a minute. And there's interference with government property. That wasn't on the calendar. It still shows up on here. Pre-trial.
On probation for aggravated assault, obstruction, firearm during and firearm by. No, there's an open case for that. Time the judge left in judicial hold 18 SC 158189. He's on probation in DeKalb for aggravated assault, sentence in 2014, 10 years sentence, 6 months confinement, for 9 years, 6 months probation. Nothing further.
So Ms. Rondon, it's armed robbery, possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, ag assault, felony obstruction, fleeing, attempting to elude, and interference with government property. Go ahead.
All right, Ms. Camacho will be presenting.
Okay.
Morrow's.
Go ahead, Ms. Camacho.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Your Honor. Yes, before you is Mr. Morrow. He's 26 years old. He actually turns 27 tomorrow. He has lived in Atlanta since he was a young child. He has successfully obtained his GED, and prior to his arrest, he was working at Pirate Staffing Temp Agency in Decatur and also at Madewell Corporation in Alpharetta as a forklift driver. I do have the contact information for those positions, and we are still confirming that he will be able to return to those positions. If released, he would reside at 2867 Autumn Lane in Decatur with his mother and grandmother. We are asking for bond to be set at $10,000 per charge, except for those last two charges, $1,000 on each of those, for a total bond of $52,000.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this defendant has a bond set has been stated as as fair and reasonable. The state would ask that you not lower the bond at this time. If Your Honor is inclined to lower the bond above the state's objection, we ask that it be no less than 100,000 total. I think right now it's currently at 140.
141, right. All right, let's see. He's been in 427 days without indictment. So we got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Must take all your medications that are prescribed. Must reside with your mother at the Autumn Lake address in Decatur, Georgia. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, meetings, medical appointments, and basic life necessities. That'll also include any mental health appointments. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle in the event there's some sort of hold. Also, no further contact with Joshua Rosser, Rosser, and stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Absolutely no other reason for you to come to Fulton County. 25, 25, 25, 1, 5, and 5. 25, 25, 25, 1, 5, and 5. Got that, Miss Hunter?
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Hunter. All right, let's see. Paul Whidbey. All right, 23 CP 217159, 95 days without indictment. There's a $15,000 good bond as of March the 24th, 2023 on ag assault. Preach. Rah. I hope you're trying to find it, Bostic. You're on mute. You're on mute, Bostic.
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, okay. Who could tell?
I threw up a finger to say 1 second, but I guess you can't see it. What I do with it?
I don't know.
For some reason, my eyes are burning, so they're blurry right now, so I can't see very well. Hmm. 23. You said what number?
13, Paul Whidbey.
Oh, that's why. I'm okay. Let me try that again. There it is. Violent arrest history, 15 prior arrests, 4 arrests, probation violations, a couple of misdemeanors. Felony escape 2017, battery and old battery family violence 2017, first offender on aggravated assault in 2013, FTA in 2013, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Miss Rhonda. Or Miss Camacho.
That's going to be me again. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, before you use Mr. Whidbey, he's 43 years old. He has also lived in Atlanta his entire life. His extended family does live in Atlanta as well, including his 3 children, ages 13, 12, and 7. He does have some college education, and prior to his arrest, he was working in a restaurant to which he believes he can return. He does have a good address at 257 Lawrence Street in Marietta, Georgia. That is in Cobb County. Mr. Whidbey did sustain gunshot injuries to his legs in this incident, for which he's unfortunately in a wheelchair now. And he does need regular physical therapy, which he's been unable to receive while in the jail. Therefore, we are asking bond to be set at $5,000.
All right, go ahead, Miss Patton.
Your Honor, the state will be requesting that bond remain as is. The pre-trial mentioned multiple violence in his history and previous ag assault. Based upon this, $15,000 is more than fair in this case, and the state would ask that you keep it as such.
All right, I'm going to add some conditions. I'm going to modify it a little bit. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Mark Whidbey. Stay away from 3086 Middleton Road. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location. Yes, Ms. Washington, and the exact location you'll be working. Also stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. That's the only reason you're coming. $12,000. No further contact with Mark Whidbey. Best of luck to you, sir. 12,000. Was it Miss Bumpus? Wasn't it Miss Bumpus that represented Mr. Bell?
Your Honor, was that defendant the one who just got up and walked out?
Probably.
I thought you said he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, she did.
In his booking photo, you can see he is in a wheelchair, and what the last time we had spoken to him, he was still in the chair. So I'm not sure if he's had some recovery, some treatment, but he was in a wheelchair.
Gotcha. All right, so but it's does anybody have Mr. Gathea's phone number, Miss Washington?
I do not, but I can try to get it.
You got it, Miss Rockwell?
I can try to send him an email. You need him to get back on the Zoom?
I do.
You said Mr. Gathea, you need him back on the Zoom?
Miss Rockwell, do you have his number? Miss Rockwell.
I can just send him an email to ask him to rejoin the Zoom, Judge, and see if he.
I'm sorry, Judge, were you looking for somebody?
Mr. Gathea.
Oh, I don't know how to get in touch with him.
That's amazing. There's a phone number that Miss Rockwell doesn't have for somebody.
But I can pull it up. Hold on.
Hey, Judge, good evening. I just texted him.
Okay, thank you. There you go. Well, whatever Mrs. Rockwell doesn't have, Mr. Jacoby has. All right, until then, we'll go forward with Mr. Kenneth Finney. Kenneth Finney. Kenneth Finney. Wave your hand if you're Kenneth Finney. Nope, no takers. Raymond Early. Raymond Early. All right, this is 23 CP 217110, 98 days without indictment, $25,000 good bond, March the 22nd on aggravated assault. Trial.
23 prior arrests, couple of felonies for drug convictions, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Camacho.
Thank you. Yes, before I use Mr. Early, he's 53 years old. He is a resident of Atlanta, has been his entire life, along with his family and his son and daughter. Mr. Early does have his GED. Before his arrest, he was working at a warehouse that supports Home Depot, which he understands he could return to upon release. He believes he can live with his father and sister at their house, which is in Fulton County, if released, and we are still confirming that. To my knowledge, Mr. Early does not have any significant criminal history within the past 10 years. Therefore, we ask that bond be reduced to an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Bostic, that wasn't anything, right? Did I hear from you? I just forgot because I was.
You did. It was just minimal.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, go ahead, Miss Patton.
Yes, Your Honor. This defendant, Mr. Early, does have a bond that is set, and based upon the charges that are alleged and what is in the four corners of the warrant, what is set is already fair and reasonable. The state would ask that you not lower it. However, if you are inclined to, let it be done so with Your Honor's discretion as to the amount. But I don't know if the conditions of ankle monitor are added on this one. I didn't see it, so I just add that one. And 24-hour curfew with the usual exceptions.
All right, so I'm going to modify this. I'll add some stuff to it. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Tanya, T-A-N-Y-A Solomon. Stay away from 970 Violet Street Southwest in Atlanta. No further contact with your co-defendant, Cortez Goodman, or any witnesses. I think I said ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, basic life necessities. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Deshaun Richards, sorry. Deshaun Richards. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. 17, Deshaun Richards, 23 CP 217190, 95 days without indictment. No bond as of March 25th. Aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Free trial.
Judge, I don't have his history. And they didn't put it in the system.
Ms. Patton, do you have it by any chance?
I mean,
My information
I
is no
don't, Your
problem.
Honor, not off that, I don't.
Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
My understanding, Judge, he has no prior history, at least no felony convictions. Judge,
Okay.
he's 28 years old, lives in the metro area all of his life. He resides on Harvey Street here in Atlanta with Adrian Lowe and her children. Adrian actually is probably still on the call. They're not his children, but he helps take care of them. He has an independent business. He does mobile detailing. So he's sort of in the same position as that construction worker was, as far as he has to, if you're going to give him an ankle monitoring, he just needs to be able to run his business. I'd ask that you set a bond of $5,000 on each count for a total bond of $10,000.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton. 5 North, booth 3. Stop fixing your hair. Stop fixing your hair. Stop touching your hair. 5 North, booth 3. Stop touching your hair. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, state would be requesting $10,000 per charge with the 24-hour curfew, with the exceptions of the work condition, as Mr. Jones asked for, legal, medical, and I didn't hear that he had any children. I heard that she had children, but he did not. Is that correct?
I believe he does not have any.
Okay, so those would be the only exceptions.
5 North, booth 3. Sit up straight so I can see your face. Stop playing with your hair, please. Please. Stand up straight. I want to see your face. I don't want to see top of your head. Perfect. Stay just like that. All right. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol. No weapons. No further contact with Cortez Houston. Stay away from 12 Atlanta Road. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. $10,000 per count. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Judge. Have a good evening.
All right. Montrese Weaver. All right, let's see. Mr. Hudson's got position 5, Bostic 23, CP 216990. Montrese Demetrius Weaver, 103 days without indictment, 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of battery, family violence, 1 count of simple battery, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. No bond as of March the 17th. Free trial.
Weaver, 14 prior arrests, open case 23 CP 216989, firearm by convicted felon, on probation 16 SC 148284, aggravated assault sentence in 2017 for 13 years, 1 arrest for probation violation, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Hudson. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Judge. Judge, this case is a case that was blown out of proportion. In a nutshell, Mr. Weaver was called to his child's mother's house about his daughter getting put out. He coming there trying to find out why you put my daughter out. She only 15. Mom's new boyfriend getting in his face. Allegedly, he brings the file and say, hey, you ain't got nothing to do with this. Stand back. That's all that happened. They proceeded to jump on him. 3 people, his daughter, the other daughter, and the child's mother. Those are the 3 witnesses. His girlfriend, Miss Amisha Chan, who's in my office right now, called the police. That's her right there. She called the police, Judge, and that's how we get there. So when eventually they all leave, my client get picked up. When he get picked up, there's another gun, and there's the same gun that's allegedly used. That's the second case, but he got a bond on that. Are y'all effective, Judge? Not a flight risk. He works at M&A Trucking and Prolific Logistics. He got a trucking business, Judge. They live in South Fulton. Judge, he will come to court. We just been waiting on this case, and he's been in jail.
103 days.
Yes, 103 days. So he's guaranteed a bond, Judge. Given the fact with that, Judge, I'll ask that he just be given a bond. So it's really like, I don't know why they got all those different counts of aggravated assault. My client hadn't shot or hurt nobody, Judge. I'm asking for $5,000 on each one of those counts and $1,000 on the misdemeanor.
Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
And the 2 victims, Judge, one of the victims is my boyfriend. The other 2 victims, Judge, happened to be the child's mother and his other daughter. So I think the state kind of like charged this incorrectly.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
And Your Honor, Eddie of Washington for the state. Your Honor, we're gonna ask for $1 million bond on this case. There are 3 victims in this case. With all 3 of the victims, the defendant did point a firearm in their face. And with Jalicia Teasley, he actually grabbed her hair and threatened her with the gun while he was pointing at her face. He is a threat to all these victims. I believe that they will be logged on, but they did not want to do an impact statement today. But he's also at risk of flight. He has 2 FTAs, a 2008 out of Clayton County, a 2016 out of Hateville, and also with his criminal record and also his unindicted case, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. We are asking that he receive at least a $1 million bond.
See, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Courtney Daniels, David Dallas, Jalissa, Jilisicia Teasley, Teasley. Stay away from 1150 Astor Avenue Southwest. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical job, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. Also, basic life necessities.
Your Honor, my client lives in Fulton County and he owns 2 trucking businesses.
I can't hear nothing.
Oh,
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, well, he could be in Fulton County, but it's 24-hour curfew. If he's not working, he just needs to be at home.
Okay, he's not gonna go see his other kids. Those are his child and his child's mother. He can stay away, Judge. He got a whole new residence. We just asking for a reasonable bond.
All right, 75,000 per count on each ag assault, 10,000 on the battery, family violence, 5,000 on simple battery, 25 on the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, Shondell Carter. All right. Let's see, this is 18, Bostic 23, CP 217272, Shondell Carter, 90 days without indictment, aggravated assault and cruelty to children in the second. Wow.
8 prior arrests. Judge, last arrest was 2016, currently on probation for false imprisonment sentence in 2016 for 10 years, nothing further.
All right, Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein here.
Judge, I'll reach out to him via email or to his office to see.
All right, we'll come back to you, sir. All right, I know Eric Johnson's here, right? Mr. Johnson, where I saw him earlier.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right, I thought I saw you earlier. Okay. All right, this position 2, Kamari Johnson, 22 CP 211409, 319 days without indictment. Right now, there is a $280,000 and $10 good bond. Possession of a sawed-off shotgun, machine gun, dangerous weapon, or silencer. Possession of firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Unlawful for a person associated with criminal street gang to conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity. And another count of unlawful for a person associated with or employed by a street gang to participate in criminal street gang activity. That's another count of unlawful of person to be employed by, associated with criminal street gang to conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity. Possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, seatbelt violation, and willful obstruction.
No prior arrest.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, good evening, Your Honor. Before you is Mr. Kamari Johnson. He's a 20-year-old lifetime Atlanta resident. He was gainfully employed prior to his arrest and may have the ability to get his job back if he is released. Your Honor, this case involves a matter of constructive possession. My client was stopped in a vehicle in an alleged gang neighborhood. He is not listed as a gang member. He was stopped with other individuals who are listed as gang members, and these certain items were found in the possession of in the vehicle itself. These items were not found on his actual possession. It was more constructive possession of him being in the vehicle at the time of the stop. He has no prior arrests, no felony convictions, Your Honor. He has been in jail for almost 300 days. The bond as currently set serves as a detriment and does not ensure his return to court. He has no failure to appear as a probation violations whatsoever. We do believe that he satisfies all the other factors. There are no victims in this case. None of the weapons were alleged to have been discharged at anyone or anything like that. So we do not believe that there's a risk to intimidate any witnesses in this case. These matters were brought by the police department, so we do not believe that he's a threat to the officers which brought these charges. We do not believe that he's a threat to flee the jurisdiction of the court or commit any other felonies, as this is his first arrest, Your Honor. So we ask that his bond be modified to a reasonable amount not to exceed $10,000 per count, Your Honor. Thank you.
Go ahead, Miss Olivia.
Your Honor, thank you, Judge. Just to be clear, Judge, not to get too much into the weeds on the facts, but this defendant was the driver. Therefore, the law presumes that he is in control of everything in the car within his arm's reach. Although he does not have a criminal history, since he's been in Rice Street, he has had incidents. On November 11th, 2022, he and some other inmates jumped another inmate. And also recently in January of 2023, the defendant was identified by yet another inmate as part of a crew who threatened to jump him into their gang. And they had shanks and they threatened to shank him. Given that, Judge, and the fact that he is associated with Play for Keeps, which is a known criminal street gang here in the Atlanta area, he was with two other gang members, validated gang members of that gang. We think the bond as set, Judge, is reasonable. We think he's a risk to the community as well as a danger to reoffend, and we are asking the court to keep the bond where it is. Thank you.
Your Honor, if I may reply, Your Honor, as it relates to matters that may or may not have happened within the jail, we understand that the Fulton County Jail is a very dangerous place right now. So there are a lot of things going on with a lot of people. As it relates to the charges that he has at this time, Your Honor, he was the driver of the vehicle, but it was not his vehicle. And he was in the vehicle with other individuals who I believe the automobile may have owned to. So yes, he was the driver of the vehicle, but he did not own the vehicle, nor can they say he definitively owned any of the items that were in the car itself, Your Honor. He was merely seen in the neighborhood with other individuals at the time of his arrest. He was not, because as was stated at the preliminary hearing, he was not a listed gang member at the time of his arrest, Your Honor. So given that we have a situation of constructive possession in which, if the matter goes forth, it may be shown that he was not in fact in possession of these matters. None of these weapons were allegedly used against the officers or in any attempt to flee against the officers in any way, Your Honor. And there's been no indication that my client has a propensity to use any weapons or a propensity to brandish any weapons to anyone else as related by his lack of criminal history. We do believe, as it looks specifically for this particular case, the bond will be greatly excessive in this particular matter. And if he was given a reasonable bond, then he would be able to make that bond, Your Honor, and that would alleviate some of the issues that the state has with regards to the situation that happens at the jail. Thank you, Your Honor.
He's going to live in Fulton County when he gets out, right?
Yes, Your Honor. He's going to reside at 1939 Sandringham Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331.
Okay. Well, I'll usually chip away at some 319 days, so I'll chip away a little, and I'll include this one on my email to Ms. Willis of cases that I usually do it over 200 days, so I'll definitely include this. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, or no replicas of weapons. No further contact with any gang members or any affiliates of any gangs, including Play for Keeps. Let's see, you have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical visits, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employment, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. Yeah, stay away from 490 Fairburn Road and 320 Fairburn Road. And Mr. Libby, I didn't see co-defendants listed on Odyssey. Are there co-defendants? Let me see.
I'm sorry, Judge, I'm muted. There were two other people in the vehicle, but one was released. I believe the other one was a juvenile.
Okay. All right. Oh, no replicas of weapons. Oh yeah, no social media. No social media. All right. So we got 35,000. 8,000, 70,000, 70,000, 70,000, 1,000, UJR, and 1,000. Ms. Hunter, that's 35, 8, 70, 70, 70, 1, UJR, and 1. Best of luck to you, sir. Good to see you, Mr. Johnson. You got the week off from you got the week off down there, so man, go earn some money, right?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good evening. All right, I got Telvin Tillis. Mr. Drake here.
Present, Your Honor.
All right. So we got 22 CP 214593. Telvin Tillis. Mr. Tillis. Wave your hand if you're Mr. Okay, there you go. Thank you, sir. Got 199 days without indictment, a $61,000 good bond as of April the 10th, 2023. 22 CP 214593. Possession of tools for the crime, possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance, criminal damage of the property, second degree, theft by possession of stolen mail, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 times. And injuring, tearing down, destruction of mailboxes, and willful obstruction misdemeanor. Wow.
15 prior arrests, at least 5 felonies. One being aggravated assault, theft by receiving, entering auto, 18 counts. 2 other theft by receiving, criminal damage to property, 1 misdemeanor. Open case 22 CP 219-220 for riot in penal institution. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead. Mr. Drake.
Yeah, as court has noted, he's been there almost 200 days, and that's far too long, Judge. We would ask the court to consider a bond in the amount of $20,000 in this case, Judge. He does have that other case, 23 CP 219-220, Judge. He was simply defending himself and his property at the jail and caught this new charge. So we'd ask the court to consider bond on that as well.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, this defendant has been given a $61,000 bond as it relates to 22 CP 214593. The state would ask that you leave that bond in its place as it is reasonable at the time, or reasonable at this time, excuse me. If Your Honor is inclined to lower the bond, that it be no less than $50,000. And Your Honor, are we considering bond on the separate case at this time or not?
No, it wasn't on the calendar, so I didn't even pull it up.
Understood.
All right, let's see. And I had before he wasn't going to live in Fulton County. Is that still true?
That's still true, Judge. He's got a stone mountain address.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You got to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical appointments, and employment as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you'll be working. You have to submit that to your lawyer and the ankle monitoring company. And basic life necessities. Stay away from 7100 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. That's the Reserve Ridgewood apartment complex. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with any victims. That's Rosita Presley, Dania Morris, Caprice Bates, Trung Doan, D-O-A-N, Dimitri White, let's see, M-A-L-I Coleman, Kimberly Neldell, Mohammed, last name M-B-A-Y-E, Abdu, last name D-I-E-Y-E, Angela Myrick, Michelle Hunt, Edward Dixon, Angela Blair, Linda Ng, Ng, Primawan. Why does it say if? That's usually first name unknown. Anyway, whoever that is, Fabian Barnhill, Santia Gross, Maurice Gross, Yishi, and Yalem Yigzal, Y-I-G-Z-A-W, Amber Docks, Kendrick Clark, Hosiana Daniel, Fanat Daniel, Indigo Blue, James Warfield, Ellen Lattimore, Taja Triplet, and Cheryl Florendez Carino. And all that is from before. So I'll just kind of make this easy. Everything that's 3,000, I'm going to make 1,500. And let's see, so it's 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. Count 10 is 5,000. I'll make that 3. Count 11 is 2,000. I'll make it 1. And the rest are 1,500 apiece. So cut it in half.
Judge.
Best of luck to you, sir.
Judge, may I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Clifton Jones. Clifton Jones. All right, there we go. All right.
That's my case, Your Honor.
All right, position 14. 23 CP 217173, $14,100 good split bond with no bond on counts 1 through 4. So cruelty in the second, possession of firearm or knife to the commission of a felony, false imprisonment, victim less than 15-year-olds, driving, fleeing, attempting to elude, seatbelt violation, reckless conduct, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, driving, speeding, reckless driving, aggressive driving, driving on the wrong side of the road, improper or erratic lane change, passing without sufficient clearance, driving child or youth restraint not properly used, and driving with license suspended or revoked.
On first offender probation for theft by taking 4 counts, sentence 1/7/19, 3 year. 3 years and 6 months confinement, FTA in 2019, open case 23 SC 188111, kidnapping, 2 counts, ag, stalking, firearm 5, battery, family violence, Judge McAfee, Open case 21 CP 204-113, aggravated assault. Open case 21 CP 204-114, cruelty to first, battery, family violence.
All right.
Oh, two more. 23 CP 219-220, riot. 23 CR 001-786G, battery, family violence. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, I'm asking that the court keep the bond amount exactly where it is and just move some numbers around as it pertains to count 9 and count 10. Those bond amounts are both listed at $2,500. I'm asking that the court reduce 9 and 10 to $500 respectively, and then add $1,000 to each count and counts 1 through 4, leaving the bond still at $14,100. Mr. Jones has been in custody over the 90-day period. I can, if the court wants to, go into the factors as to why I think that this bond amount is appropriate. Mr. Jones does not have a significant amount of money, though he does have family support. We're not talking about millionaires here. These are very hardworking people, just like Mr. Jones was. In fact, he was employed with Amazon prior to being arrested and then picked up extra shifts through a temp agency. So I'd ask that the court keep that bond where it is. He's got a couple of cases that he needs to bond out on afterwards. And I think that the amount would be sufficient to ensure that he comes back to court.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, it's going to be 88 Travis Thomas.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
Your Honor, so the defendant does have 10 cycles of arrests. Prior felony, theft by taking, that he has 5 open cases, including one that was just indicted, the 23 SE 188111. And it's my understanding, Your Honor, from my system, he does not currently have a bond on the felonies, the cruelty to children, possession of a firearm, false imprisonment, and the driving, fleeing, attempting to elude. Your Honor, I think it's important to note that the only reason he was arrested after a high-speed chase with Georgia State Patrol, in which he left the highway and lost control of his vehicle on a surface street. And then even after he lost control of his vehicle, he ran, and they had to deploy K9s to find him, which they eventually did. And when the police searched the vehicle after he ran from it, there were 3 children under the age of 5, about 1 year old, in the vehicle, that were all in a vehicle when he did this high-speed chase. So, Your Honor, based on that, he is definitely a risk to the community for his reckless actions. He's a risk to reoffend because he has 5 open cases right now. And he's also a risk to flee because he fled from the police after a traffic stop, which initiated this whole thing. Your Honor, I'm asking that bond be, for his misdemeanors, bond be left right where they are. We're over 96 days, so he is entitled to a bond. For each outstanding felony, Your Honor, I'm asking for a bond of $50,000 per felony.
Right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with any minor children, no driving unless this bond, until your bond is modified. Have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, and the exact location and schedule where you're going to be working. Also, basic life necessities. No further contact with Shania Jenkins, Shaniya Jenkins. That ankle monitor be paid for by the county. If you have any hold, sir, you have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. We got 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, and 20,000. UJR jail, 5,000. UJR jail, 500. 2,000, 2,000, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500. Need that again, Ms. Hunter?
No.
All right. If you need again, ma'am, it's 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 20,000, UJR jail, 5,000, UJR jail, 500, 2,000, 2,000, and the rest are 500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. My business is concluded this evening. May I be excused?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's see. Mr. Hudson, you still here? We got Jason Williams. All All right, position 7, 23 CP 215560, 160 days without indictment, no bond as of March the 16th, aggravated assault, 2 counts of terroristic threats and acts. Pre-trial.
No prior arrest.
Go ahead, Mr. Hudson.
Your Honor, my client is 22 years old. Prior to the incident, we believe the incident is self-defense, but I mean, there's no need to go into facts since he has no history. Judge, he's been in jail for well over 90 days, as you can see. He doesn't have any criminal history. I believe the victim is online. At the last hearing, the victim did want to speak to the judge, like she wanted contact, but we with no contact or no violent contact. We just want him to get a very low bond, Judge. And I would defer to the court, given the fact that he got strong support at the initial hearing with Judge Drake. His mom and dad was present, so he got strong family support. Both of them had to work, so I told him I'll just stand in. And forgive the way my shirt reflects on the camera, I'm sorry. But anyway, Judge, I just asked for a regular, the lowest bond possible, given the fact he have no criminal history. He's not a flight risk. And he also is the manager at Chick-fil-A up in Chick-fil-A in Camp, the one on, I believe, Cascade, by my office. And he's a graduate of Whitewater High School in Fayetteville.
Is he gonna still live in Fayetteville?
Yes, he stay 130 Crestview Drive, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30215 with his mother. We would just ask that he stay away from the incident location because he will be working at the I think he does work. He might get his job back at the Chick-fil-A. So, Judge, I will ask that he be allowed to come to Fulton County, but he stay away from the incident location, which is Ms. Parsons' address.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this has been over 90 days, so as such, the defendant is entitled to a bond being set. For the aggravated assault, state is requesting $40,000. For the terroristic threats and acts, that's 2 counts, state is requesting $10,000 each, bringing the total to $60,000. We ask that ankle monitor be attached to this defendant with the exceptions of work, medical, legal. Does he have a child, Mr. Hudson?
No, he does not.
So no necessity for a child care and a stay away from the incident location and a no contact with the victim.
That's fine with us, Judge. But Judge, we just gonna ask that that bond be a little lower than what the state was asking, given the fact he has no criminal history.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Robert Baskin, Erica Parson, Rania, R-A-N-I-Y-A Parson. Stay away from 535 Paynes Avenue Northwest. Can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. And also basic life necessities. Just because you can't leave the house unless you're doing one of them. It's not your mama's job to take care of you like that. You're still a grown man. You can go do it too. Okay. It's your you problem, not your mama's problem. So you stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for work, court, or to see your lawyer. So if you get your job back, sir, you could come here for work, but you got to make sure that you tell Mr. Hudson and the ankle monitoring company every time you're going to go to work. I'm sure Mr. Hudson don't want to get a phone call from you every day that you're going to go to work or when you get your schedule. So I suggest you probably email it to him. Mr. Hudson, did you get in touch with the other lawyer you said you were going to call?
I'm about to call him on my office. I text him, but I need to give him a call too, Judge. I'm still on the calendar. I got Tierra Moore on the walk-in calendar.
Oh, okay.
That's modification calendar, so I'll still be here.
All right, we got 20,000, 5,000, and 5,000. 20,000, 5,000, 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lay the boot. All right. McCudem. All right, so position 1 on one of the add-ons. It's 22 CP 210160. 368 days without indictment. Let's see, who's got this one? Because it said Rosenhoover. Then I think it was sent to. Okay, Mr. Brown. Okay. All right. Let's see. 22 CP 210160. Aggravated assault, armed robbery, possession of a knife during the commission of a felony, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony, unlawful for a person to be employed by, associated with criminal street gang, or to participate in criminal street gang activity. And right now there's a $245,000 good bond. Trial.
7 prior arrests, open case 23 SC 186-796 riot battery, such that Adams 22 SC 185-519 aggravated assault, 2 counts terrorist threat firearm by battery, firearm during aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And there may be an open capital case in Florida. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Dam is 22 years old and he's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. He resides at 36 Bramlett Ridge Drive, Dallas, Georgia, 30157. As stated, he's been in jail for over a year and the case has not been indicted. If released on bond, he will be staying at the address that I just mentioned. He's a high school graduate. He graduated from Langston Hughes High School, and he's a sophomore at Georgia State, majoring in computer engineering. I believe his mother is is watching via YouTube. Unfortunately, his father is deceased. While going to school, he was also working at Laz Parking as a valet. He has had prior bonds. It was reduced from, I think, 340. Now it's 240,000. He's let me know that his family can make a bond of about 75,000, and that's what I'm asking for.
All right. What says the state?
Judge, we're asking that the court keep the bond as is. It looks like Mr. Dem is currently on probation for robbery. He is also a convicted felon for burglary. He thus is a risk to reoffend, Judge, and we believe a danger to the community. He is a validated member of the Good Fellas gang. He is seen on his social media throwing up various gang signs. He's also, it looks like he has an open case for murder in Florida, as pretrial mentioned to the court. We believe he's also a risk of flight, Judge. So we're asking that the court keep the bond as is. This case involves an armed robbery where the victim was shot multiple times. So we think the bond is reasonable.
All right. Let's see. No, it's been a little bit. I adjusted a little bit. Doesn't mean he's necessarily going to make it, I guess. No further contact with Doran, Dorin Brown. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Stay away from 2190 Etheridge Drive Northwest. No further contact with any gang members or affiliates of any gangs, and that does not exclude Goodfellas. No replicas of weapons. No social media. Let's see. Like I already said, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. That ankle monitor, like I said, it's paid for by the county. 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, or court, lawyer, medical. You said he goes to school. You have an issue with him going to school if he gets out? Madam ADA?
Your Honor, if he can show proof that he's currently enrolled, then that would be fine with the state.
All right. And school. So you got to stay out of Fulton County, but if you go to Georgia State downtown campus, and as long as you can prove that you're actually going, you could attend school too. So we got 70,000, 70,000, 10,000, 10,000, and 70,000. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. That was my only case. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. And I put his name and the number of days in my email to Miss Willis.
And Judge, may I be excused as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, may I make a brief announcement? I have not been able to get in contact with Attorney Brendan Klein. I'm not sure if he's joined the Zoom.
Brendan Klein. Yeah, I think not. I guess this will have to be reset.
I sent an email to his office and I tried to contact his office. The only thing I can do at this point is reset the case.
All right, let's see. Shondell Carter. Sir, we'll have to reset it because your lawyer hasn't shown up yet, okay? Wait a minute. Yeah, all right. That will reset it and get you on another calendar. You can go ahead and leave the booth, sir. All right, what did let's see, who's here for Kenneth Finney? All right, Miss Rhonda. All right, we got 26, 23 CP 217196, 95 days without indictment, $27,000 good bond as of March the 25th. Possession of drug-related objects, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of a felony, possession of tools for a crime, burglary of the second degree, VGCI, possession of controlled substance, schedule 1 or 2. And that's 2 counts of that. Oh, looks like. Go ahead.
Extensive arrest history, and extensive convictions, repeat offender, at least 8 felonies, 5 misdemeanors, 6 arrests for probation violation, 1 for parole violation. His history of entering autos, burglaries, arsons, and aggravated battery. Nothing further.
And Ms. Rondon, it alleges 12.3 grams of crack, 0.8 ounces of marijuana, 473 blank money orders from I think Bank of America or something, and 324 other additional blank money orders and 14 different driver's licenses. Go ahead, Ms. Rondon.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Mr. Finney is 56 years old. He is a lifelong resident of Atlanta and Georgia. He does have a good address. It is on Old South Drive in Jonesboro, Georgia, where he would reside with his sister. He does have other family here in Georgia, although he has no children. He is a high school graduate, and prior to being arrested for this offense, he was working part-time at a JD Package, where he was in charge of stocking shelves and cleaning the facilities. He had been there for about a year, and it's my understanding that he can get that employment back. I do have the contact information for his supervisor, but I had not been able to reach that supervisor prior to this hearing to confirm that his employment was waiting for him. As his bond is currently set at $27,000, and he has been in custody for 95 days by my math. I would ask for his bond to be cut in half, not to exceed. I should have done the math before I said that.
Sorry.
That's $13,500.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this defendant does have a bond, and basically, frankly, based on his criminal history, $27,000 is more than fair. We ask that you not lower it, and if you are inclined to lower it, that the bond still remain above $20,000. This defendant also has multiple FTAs, so we're concerned about him being a flight risk and a significant likelihood to reoffend while out on bond. But ask that if you are inclined to lower the bond above the state's objection, just to add the ankle monitor, which I believe is already on there with the usual conditions.
And Ms. Rod, is he going to live in Fulton County?
It's in Jonesboro. I'm not
Okay.
sure if that's in Fulton County.
Clayton County. Okay. No
Yeah.
drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 4330 Fulton Industrial Boulevard. Going to have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, basic life necessities, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you'll be working. No further contact with Robin Reed, REID. Also, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Absolutely no reason for you to come to Fulton County, sir. If you come to Fulton County, don't get gas, don't stop and get lunch. Straight to Fulton County, go to court and leave. Possession of drug-related objects, UJR jail. Count 2, 5,000. Count 3, 5,000. Count 4, 500. Count 5, 5,000. Count 6 and 7 are 3,000 apiece. So that's UJR 5,000, 5,000, 500, 5,000, 3,000, 3,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Now, let's see. You can leave the booth. Mr. Finney. All right, let's see. Tolbert Mims was removed. So is there Tolbert Mims here? Okay, that's removed.
Yep.
What about
Mr.
Deion
Mims
Watts?
has been released.
Okay, okay. Deion Watts. Any of you gentlemen, Deion Watts? Brendan Pruitt. Emmanuel Robinson.
Judge, you want me to, I'm gonna unmute the booth for 4 South, booth 4.
Okay.
Judge, I have 4 and 29 left. Dorman persuaded.
No, that's, here you go. Malachi Hobson. Malachi Hobbs. All right, Fred Schwa Persuade.
Judge, booth
Yours
4
is-
South, booth 4 is unmuted.
All right, so Mr. Persuade, you can leave the booth. Yours is reset. Booth 4, who are you? 4 South, booth 4.
That's Mr. Finney.
Okay, you're finished, Mr. Finney. You can leave. Can you unmute 4 North, booth 2? You can leave, Mr. Finney.
Was this the booth earlier that had trouble hearing us? Mr. Finney, can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear me?
All right, we'll do that one again. Can you open another booth, but can you unmute 4 North booth 2? Let's see. Oh, is that John Quavius Durham? That one's reset too, isn't it?
That's correct. He has a bond revocation on July 14th.
Yeah, sir, you're going to be addressed on July on your bond revocation, so you can go ahead and leave the booth. Thank you. Yeah, can you open another for booth 4 South? Go to booth 3.
Booth 3 has been unmuted, so if he
Okay.
could go
Go
to
to
the
booth
next
3.
booth.
Oh, come on, can't say it right.
Judge, I'm trying to reach the jail to let him know.
All right, there he goes.
Okay.
Okay.
I know, Miss Wright, you've seen my handwriting now where you're like,
I was going to write as well.
You're like, let me write it better than your handwriting. Let's see. Definitely better than mine. All right, Mr. Finney, sorry you couldn't hear. You want to go
Mr. Finney, can you hear us? Okay.
What I did was reduce your bond to possession of drug-related objects, UJR, then possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 5,000, 5,000 on the possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, 500 on tools for a crime, 5,000 on burglary in the second degree, and then 3,000 apiece on the VGCSA. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. You stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Your curfew, you can go leave for court, meetings with your lawyer, medical appointments, employment, or basic life necessities. So you have to go to the grocery store. Email Miss Rondon and let her know when you go do things, okay? She don't want you to call her, but you need to let the ankle monitoring company know, hey, I'm going to the Publix grocery store. I'll be gone for 30 minutes. Now, that's not an 8-hour visit to the grocery store, okay? And no further contact with Robin Reed. Okay? So it's a UJR through the jail, 5,000, 5,000, 500, 5,000, 3,000, and 3,000. Is that good, Ms. Rondon? Do you want to tell me anything else?
I think that's good. Mr. Finney, I'll come visit you soon if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, let's see. Now we got motions. Thank you, everybody, for being patient. So we got, all right, on modification.
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt you. One more announcement. I think Ms. Smith is on the Zoom. Kiara Smith, position number 6. The case was indicted. I think she's since been released, but she is on the Zoom.
Oh, Ms. Smith, your case has been indicted. It's Kiara Smith. Your case is, okay, I'm not sure if you got clothes on or what you wear, but your case has been indicted. Case has been indicted. Thank you. All right, let's see. Bond modifications. We got Tierra Moore. Tierra Moore, if you're here, turn on your camera.
She's here, Judge, with me. She said she tired. We had to step outside my office. You said she could wear her ankle monitor, Judge, to the office. So she got her ankle monitor on. Judge, we're asking to modify her bond to allow her to come and work in Fulton County. The incident took place at her old home with her ex-boyfriend. We just asking that the bond be modified to where she stay away from the incident location, but she be allowed to travel through and in and around Fulton County and to work in Fulton County. Her kids actually go to school in Fulton County.
All right, how long she had it on?
About 4 months.
4 months, Judge.
It's paid for by the county though, right, Mr. Hudson?
It is, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Patton, it's 22 CP 209045 Tierra Moore, trafficking marijuana, possession of Schedule 1, trafficking cocaine, possession of Schedule 1, trafficking 160 ounces or more THC oil and drug-related objects. You got any objection, Ms. Patton? She'll still have her ankle monitor, but she can come to Fulton for work. And then basic life necessities for her kids.
I have no objection to those exceptions being made, but not just a general, you come to Fulton County whenever you want exception, but.
Fulton County for work and for kids for school. You shoot me that bottom.
She does hair and everything, Judge.
What's that?
She does hair. She's a beautician. She a beautician. She braids hair, so that's why she wanted. She got a shop in Fulton as well, Judge.
Yeah, as long as she's working, she just can't
Okay.
come to hang out. But Mr. Hudson, if she can do something with your hair.
All right, Judge. I just cut it earlier today because
She's not taking credit for that, Mr. Hudson.
okay.
All right. Just shoot me that order so you can come to.
I will. I'll send it over to Ms. Robinson. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Have a good one. Best of luck to you.
Ms. Patton.
All right, what about Christopher White? There you go. All right, Mr. Majeski. All right, this is 22 CP 212671, cruelty and reckless conduct. Go ahead, Mr. Majeski. Anything I need to know, Boston?
Judge.
Judge.
Majeski changed his name to Boston. He's probably asking him to be able to come off pretrial, and he can, Judge. I think he's been on pretrial since last September, so the 120 days can go in effect. He's been compliant. So, yeah, nothing further.
Okay, Judge, I'm gonna take that. But also the general nature of our motion was there's a provision in the bond for no contact between him and the alleged victim. Now there's also a domestic case and a juvenile case going on, a dependency type case. I spoke with the state earlier. They don't have any victim contact from my understanding. So what we thought we might ask the court to do, because they think if they have victim contact, they might be in a position to consent, was maybe continue this for a week after you take them off pretrial, like you so graciously offered, to see if we can get the victim contact going.
We can do that. If they have a defects case, I can always modify it that they can have contact if it's like a reunification case.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I never have a problem with if they have to work their defects plan.
Okay, yeah, that's all we want to do, but we just can't work the defects plan with a no contact.
Yeah, because if not, they'll terminate rights. Mr. Thomas, you have objection to that only for to work the defects plan?
Yeah, Your Honor, I don't want to get in the way of the defects plan. I just do not want to consent to the no contact order being removed without talking with the child and whoever the guardian is for the child. Unfortunately, the police report just didn't give us any type of contact information for either one.
Right. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
the defects plan will get us what we need, Judge, as long as we can.
Okay, so you can do it just for the defects plan only.
Okay, and then we can, depending on how that goes, maybe seek to modify it further. And the
Right,
state
and
might
then if
be-
Mr. Thomas gets in touch with the rest of them, that's fine.
Okay,
All right.
that'd be great, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Just shoot it to me, Mr. Majeski.
Oh, he's gonna submit the order.
Just shoot the order to us, Mr. Majeski.
Okay, you'll have it by tomorrow morning, Judge.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Let's see, Ms.
All right,
Washington.
Yes, Your Honor.
So we got Mr. Gathea. Where'd he go?
All right, may I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Gathea, sorry to get you back in here, but Ms. Washington had something she wanted to bring up with you. All right.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. And it's on the Bell case.
Yes, Your Honor. So in regards to 23 CP 217149, the victim in this case, Ms. Rotich Robinson, I was notified as soon as the defendant received a bond, Ms. Felisa Kelly, who is logged onto the Zoom. She is a witness in this case. She is also the victim's daughter. As soon as the defendant received a bond, she did receive threatening messages from the defendant's family members, including the defendant's cousin and also his brother. She is logged onto the Zoom, and I have asked her if she can just provide a brief statement to the court in regards to these threats. And the state is requesting that the bond be upped. This will turn into a DV case. Ms. Felisa Kelly does have, she shares children with the defendant in this case. And we anticipate more warrants being added after speaking with Ms. Kelly today in regards to arson and criminal damage to property that also belong to Ms. Kelly. Ms. Kelly, can you turn on your camera, and can you turn on your camera as well?
It's not letting me turn the camera on.
It says it's on. You gotta, because if I hit stop video to do that, but you gotta turn it on. I'm asking you to turn it on.
It says the host has to be asked.
No, I just asked you. I just hit start video. I just hit the button, says start video.
Okay.
It's still a black screen though, so something's blocking your screen.
Settings. I'm going to my settings right now.
Anything for you, Mr. Kathias? Sorry, I know you're probably headed to dinner or have some fun, more fun than this. So do you want to say anything while Miss Kelly's trying to get hooked up to video?
I do. I believe that she stated that they have a child together. I do not believe that they do. I believe she's expectant with his child. I have had communications with Miss Kelly. She indicated to me prior to the bond hearing that she would
I think
object
she's
to
joining
bond.
from another device. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she did indicate to me that she would object to bond being granted due to difficulties and communication she's had with the family, but nothing has come from Mr. Bell himself. I'm curious as to what charges could be added since he's in custody now, that the state was referring to. Other than that, I'd be more than willing to listen to Ms. Kelly. Of course, I'd ask that she be subject to cross-examination as well, Judge.
Of course, Miss Kelly, if you could raise your right hand. You swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Miss Washington.
Yes, Miss Kelly, can you please state your full name for the record?
Elisa Kelly.
And Miss Kelly, what is your relationship to Mr. Keno Bell?
He's my son's father.
Okay, and how old is your child?
5.
He's 5 years old. All right, and what is also your relationship to Miss Roteach Robinson?
That's my mother.
That's your mother? Okay. And we're here for 23 CP 217149. It's in regards to an arson 1st degree, criminal damage 2nd degree. Are you aware of the facts of that case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We spoke earlier today, and in regards to the bond hearing, have you received communication from the defendant's family members?
Yes. My mom, one of her friends sent it to, they called her, and then someone called me, and then they sent me a screen recorder of his family members. As soon as you all gave him the bond, they posted and said that, you know, he getting the bond, he back and all this and that. And then his brother, I don't even know his name, Bio, he is on there like, yeah, if it was about the money, he would have been out, police aid, all type of stuff. He's saying all type of stuff. I got the screen recorder in my phone right now, but soon as y'all gave him the bond, you know what I'm saying? They had so much to say, all the sending all the threats and stuff. And then I got into it with the brother the other day, and he called me a police ass bitch and all this type of stuff. I got those screenshots and stuff as well in my phone. It's just too much because it's ongoing for no reason.
Okay, and just to backtrack, you said you got into it with the brother. Which brother?
The one who just made the post today.
Okay, and that's the defendant's brother?
Right, his name is Theo.
Theo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and can you just recite the part when you got into it with them? Around what day was that? Was that the last few days or a week ago?
This was like yesterday or the day before. Day before yesterday.
And what was the nature of the things that he said to you in regards to this case?
So it's something happened on Instagram, and he made a comment about it, and everybody was commenting about it, and then me and him got into it because it was a picture of me that somebody posted on Instagram, and he was like, "Oh, police asshole, that and the third. You know, I ain't never been," he was like, "You know, I ain't never been no bitch and all this, that, and the third or whatever." But like I said, the day once you all gave him the bond, and I was trying to get on the Zoom, but it kept knocking me out. But my cousin was on the Zoom, and it kept muting her when she was trying to speak and let it be known that I was trying to get into the Zoom. And that's when we got the phone calls that they was making all these, you know, threats and stuff like that. If it was about the money, yeah, he on the way, that little bun ain't nothing, and this, that, and the third. When I could have spoke from the beginning and was, you know, let y'all know what was going on before he even got the bond.
Okay. And has anybody else from the defendant's family contacted you?
His cousin, Ra.
Okay. And can you describe to the court the nature of that contact? Was it Ralph, R-A-L-P-H?
R-A. Her name is Ra, Rakisha Bibbs.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And what was the nature of your communication with Rakisha Bibbs?
Basically, she just she's just in our business, the business with me and Mr. Bell, and it has nothing to do with her. So anything that has anything to do with him, she just keeps speaking on it and want to argue with me, do all type of stuff like that. Okay. And she called me a police ass bitch too. She called me and my got into it with her. And to be honest, this was a couple of days ago as well. This was last week. Last Wednesday, we got into it with her. And, you know, basically because of the behalf of her cousin.
With this communication, do you feel threatened?
Yes, I do.
To your knowledge, has anybody reached out to your mother, Ms. Robinson?
Who talked to mom?
No, nobody reached out since the case. Nobody.
Oh, is she talking about like the police? Oh, no one reached out to us and told us anything about court today.
Sorry, as far as third parties from the defendant's family, his cousin, brother, anybody reach out to your mother in a threatening way?
My sister said, this is my sister right here. She said,
Objection to
Okay.
objection to what your sister said.
Just to your knowledge, Miss Kelly.
Right. She spoke to the brother one time.
To your knowledge, which brothers? Is that Theo?
The same one who talking stuff.
Okay. And your mother, she's not in the car.
No, she's not.
Okay. Okay. But just to clarify, do you feel threatened in regards to the communication?
Very much threatened. I do. I really do.
Your Honor, that's off right now.
All right. You have questions for her?
I definitely do, Your Honor. I appreciate it. Ms. Kelly, I'm just gonna ask questions. If you can answer them yes or no, or to the best of your knowledge, we can make this as quick as possible. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
That's a question.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Now you indicated that. So what? I just want to get clarification because the state is saying that someone reached out to you all. Let me just make it clear. I just want to get clarification for the judge. No one has called you or any of your family members regarding.
Let me look.
Say that again.
I had a private call the other morning, speaking on the behalf.
From whom?
But I left it alone. Because like I said, they start doing all this once I let it be known.
Wait, Miss Kelly. The way this works is I ask questions and then you answer. So the question was, who was it that reached out to you? You said a couple days ago.
The brother.
Okay. He called you on the phone, or you saw something he posted?
Yeah, it was posted on Instagram. Direct message.
They'll talk over each other. Let him ask a question.
So on Instagram, post on Instagram from his brother, but that wasn't a post that was dropped into your direct message, was it?
Yes, it was. It's in my DM. I can show y'all right now.
So so it wasn't a post then. So you're saying there was a picture of you on Instagram, and then based on that, he sent you a direct message?
He wrote on the post, and then I had asked him a question, which I thought we was okay. And when I asked him a question, he just went to going off, and he was like, "You a police ass bitch," and all type of stuff. Went to speaking on my brother being deceased, knowing about whoever's, killed my brother and all that.
So there was a post on Instagram. He mentioned something on that post. Is that correct?
Correct.
You then reached out to him. That means you sent him a DM. Is that correct?
Correct.
And he responded to your reaching out to him and said that you are a police, whatever, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You said that. Say that again.
He's only saying this because now the family is mad because a week ago I told the mom that I was gonna, be trying to figure out how to get on the Zoom to go to court or whatever. So the family has been mad ever since then. Oh, the bitch don't know if she want to recant what she said.
Right,
the hoe don't know if she want to.
Right, Miss Kelly. Miss Kelly. Remember, I asked the questions and then you respond to them. Okay. So my next question is: you indicated that I want to get clarification. Did anyone give your mother a call?
He didn't give her a call. She saw him.
Okay, that answers that question. Thank you. Did anyone give your sister a call?
Ra, the cousin.
Okay. Now, Ra and y'all have some kind of a relationship. You all know each other prior to, I guess, a couple weeks ago. Is that correct?
That's my son's cousin. It's Mr. Bell's cousin.
Okay, all right. Now, this is what you testified earlier. You said that they called you, forgive my language, Your Honor, a police asshole, a police ass bitch. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was something that was posted through the DM in response to you and them going back and forth. Is that correct?
It was in response to me telling them that I was going to go to court on Mr. Bell's court on the 26th.
And today, after he was granted a bond, there was more posts on Instagram from his family members. Is that correct?
Correct. In private calls. I have it right here in my phone right now. The brother screaming and hollering all on the Instagram. Yeah, bitch. If it was about the money, he would have been home. Yeah, you can't come to Lakewood. All type of stuff on Instagram. I got it screen
Okay.
recorded right now.
Okay. All right. Nothing further.
All right, anything else from the state, Ms. Washington?
No, Your Honor, just argument.
All right, any argument? Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, the state is asking that the bond be up to at least $1 million. The Ms. Kelly just testified that she has received private calls after this defendant did receive a bond in this case. This is a case that involves her mother, but she does share a child with the defendant. She has received communication from at least the defendant's brother, Theo, stemming from a post that she posted on Instagram, and that he responded, and it's my understanding, as a comment under that post. And from there, it was a chain of direct messages where the victim, the witness in this case, was called out of her name, involving her cooperation with the police. And that would be involving this case. Lastly, she has also had contact by the defendant's cousin, Rakisha, I'll just say Ra, who has been calling her phone, who has also been threatening her, and who also has, and I'm making this wrong, but she has also contacted the victim in this case when she saw her out. And that may be Ra or Theo, but they did have exchanged words with the victim in this case. Your Honor, and that would be a direct threat to intimidate victims and witnesses in this case by third parties of the defendant. The defendant is in jail. However, we have his cousins, his brothers reaching out on social media and also in person with the family of Ms. Felisa Kelly and also Ms. Roteach Robinson. So we're asking that at this time for the all effective threat to the victim and witnesses in this case and intimidating them, that the bond be up to at least $1 million.
All right, Mr. Gathia.
$1 million, Judge? $1 million. Wow. Your Honor, you heard what I just heard. It appears that the alleged threats was that she was called a police asshole, a police ass bitch. I didn't hear any, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you. And it sounds like this was back and forth, Judge. She indicated I reached out to them and then we went back and forth. I was on the phone with them and we went back and forth. It sounds like unfortunately, what is going to be an extended family is an extended family going back and forth, Judge. I don't think this gives level to the rise of a threat. I think that Ms. Kelly is trying to use the state to circumvent the constitutional rights that Mr. Bell is entitled to, which is the fact he's entitled to a bond. He meets all of the conditions of the bond. Mr. Kelly has not done anything to threaten or to even begin the process, I guess, of arguing, which is what this is, with Miss Kelly. He's in custody. It sounds like she's going online. Her family members are going online, seeing what's being posted, and they're having issues with that. And then they're engaging with the people that posted it. You can't get into an argument and then scream victim and then use that as an excuse to prevent someone who's not been convicted of any crime, Judge, to be remanded to stay in jail. Bond is not meant to be an instrument to force a plea or to punish somebody prior to an actual finding of guilt has been made. He's eligible for bond. I'd ask that it remain undisturbed. The fact that $1 million bond is being asked, Judge, raises the hairs on my neck. I hope it does it to you and anyone else listening on this call. This is about justice. The purpose of prosecution is to administer justice, not to use the system to keep someone in jail for whatever reason. Judge, I'd ask that, Your Honor, take into consideration the evidence that was presented in this case, the alleged words that were used that she is now claiming were a threat, and remain the bond as it is, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Hunter, we'll add no social media to that. And Ms. Kelly, what I'll do is that I also do TPOs and stuff like that. So if you and your mother or whoever's getting borrowed want to come by and apply for a TPO, we will address that tomorrow. Just come up to the 8th floor on the 130. So it's above Miss Washington's office on the 8th floor, that same building as her office. On the 8th floor, if you come up there, you can apply for protective orders, you, your mom, whoever.
So the bond stays at what the bond is.
Well, I bet so no social media. I mean, I see what he's doing. And also we'll add no contact through third parties.
They just
Ms. Washington just said she's gonna add more charges. I don't know that he's gonna get this bond, but also, I'm just telling you, come by the office, apply for your protective orders, and if he contacts you or somebody else contacts you, if they contact you again, then, you know, that could add up to aggravated stalking.
So the bond is, I mean, it's crazy because no one in my family was notified about this, but every person in his family was notified, and all of his family was on the Zoom today.
I didn't hear from anybody except for the lawyers. I didn't.
Right, but you know how you can see all of his family was on the Zoom today. So by the time we can get on the Zoom,
Mom on the phone.
is there a way my mama can log into the Zoom? Because she wants to speak.
Well, is she in the car there with you?
No, she's on the phone, but she want to speak on the Zoom. Mom, you might can't do it like that, but go ahead.
I guess Miss Clark, did they not get sent a Zoom link?
We did not. I had to do all of my own research.
Go to the courthouse Friday to get it.
Nobody notified us of anything.
Well, statutorily he has to get a bond. So he's got 7,500, 12,000, and then 30,000 and 2,500.
That's a cheap bond. He can pay that in a blink of an eye. And then you said I can get a TPO. What can a TPO do for me?
And Ms. Kelly, the victim advocate will reach out to you as soon as the court is over.
He's got to make $52,000 bond. Does he have $5,300?
He has more than $5,300.
Okay, well, he got more than me. So, but I mean, I had to go based on his criminal history. But if you go, like I said, go to the 8th floor, reach out to that victim's advocate, they'll do that. Miss Hunter, if you just add no social media and include, make sure it says no third party contact. Because if they start harassing you, you can't interact with them. But if they start harassing you on his behalf, that's a different story, okay?
Right, and that's what the brother did today. That's what made me come down there, because just as soon as y'all gave the bond, he went to threatening me on the story. I have it right here. They probably gonna try to take it down, but I already have it screen recorded right here in the phone.
Okay, well then bring our evidence, everything up to the courthouse, meet with the victim's advocate, and they can help you with a protective order against the brother, so he can't contact you anymore either.
Okay, well, just get everybody's name, because at the end of the day, they three got locked up.
So that's your mother. We're not talking to her. All right. Thank you, Mr. Guy, and Ms. Washington. Y'all go have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let's see. We got I got Adib Ahmed.
Good evening, Your Honor. That's my case.
Is he here? I don't see your, oh, there he is. Mr. Ahmed. All right, this is 23 CP 216894. Adib Ahmed, aggravated battery. Anything I need to know, Bostic?
No.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Snyder.
Judge, we are asking for a modification of Mr. Ahmed's bond conditions. He is currently in a no contact situation, and we are asking for that to be amended to a no violent contact situation, and that he be allowed to return to his marital home. It is our understanding that Ms. Kona, the complaining witness in this case, wants contact as well, and I believe she is also on the Zoom if you'd have any questions for her.
All right, Ms. Kona, you have to turn your camera on. All right, can you raise your right hand? Raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you swear firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, Miss, you want to ask her any questions, Miss Snyder? Because I'm sure that Miss Washington will have questions.
Sure. Ms. Kona, is it your desire to have contact with your husband?
Yes. I want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I want to move with him, yes.
And to return to living together?
Yeah.
No further questions.
Ms. Washington.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Kona. Eddie Washington on behalf of the state. How long have you been married to your husband?
2 years.
2 years. And during that time, have y'all ever had any type of history of domestic violence, abuse, whether verbal or physical?
Not physical, but yeah, we argue, like we fight. It's just like normal like fight, not actually abuse or assault.
Okay. Is this your first time that you've ever had to call the police on him?
Yes.
Okay.
Trying
Are
to
you-
pull up the warrant to see what it is. I haven't seen it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Kona, are you afraid of the defendant?
No, not at all.
Has he ever been physical with you, not in the United States, but in somewhere else?
No, no.
Okay. Just verbally abusive?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that here in the United
Uh,
States?
No, yeah, like verbal, like argument happens here and back in Bangladesh both, but the physical abuse happened just in here, and I didn't call the police, by the way. Actually, my husband called the police. Like he was shocked too. He didn't understand what to do. Then he basically called the police. I didn't.
And has he ever had to call the police during any of your arguments before?
No.
And was this the first time that you had actual injuries, like broken bones?
Yes.
And did you have to seek medical treatment for those injuries?
Yes, but like doctor said, now it's perfectly okay for 3 months. Like 1st June, I had an appointment at Grady. So for ENT specialist, he said it's perfectly fine now.
And when you say it's perfectly fine, what are you talking about?
Oh, then my nose, like.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. So it says in here that he punched you in the face and allegedly broke your nose. Is that
Yeah.
all right? Argument. Go ahead with argument, Ms. Washington.
Yes, Your Honor. The state is not consenting to the no violent contact at this time due to the nature, and the state spoke of Ms. Kona earlier today, of the verbal abuse experienced by the victim, by this defendant, both in Bangladesh and also here in the United States. Only here was it reported when she actually had injuries to her nose, where her nose was broken in 2 places. And I know that she has stated before the court that as of June the 21st, her nose was healed. However, police were only called because neither of them knew what to do, and police or medics had to respond to the scene. So at this time, without anger management or some type of family violence intervention program, the state is not inclined to consent to having the no contact lifted.
Ms. Snyder.
Your Honor, this was a one-off incident. I don't believe I heard her testify to any verbal abuse, just normal marital arguments.
Yeah.
We would be fine with any anger management conditions Your Honor would like to include. Mr. Ahmed did call the police himself. He has cooperated. And we're just asking that you amend his bond to allow him no violent contact.
They what out of all the domestic violence cases I've heard, I think I'm up to 16,000 now. Ms. Kona, one of my jobs is protect you as a citizen of Fulton County. So Ms. Snyder, if he gets going on his anger management classes and gets into it, and you show proof to Ms. Washington, we'll come back and reconsider it, okay? But yeah, not now. It's just there. But so Mr. Ahmed, I'm not saying I won't let you later, but right now I'm getting into some anger management and let them get some documents in there. Ms. Snyder, if you want to send it to me, that he'll attend anger management classes. You don't have, and you can provide the state with just proof that he's taken them. And then I'm not. See, I don't want him to use it. I don't want it to be put in a position where the state uses it against him. So I don't know how to word the bond order.
Just, we can make it a condition that he be required to complete anger management.
Okay. All right. That's that. So show her, send proof to Miss Washington that he's doing it, and then you can put it back on there. I think it's usually a 26-week class or something like that. FVIP, 24 or 26 weeks FVIP. He can get into that and then show Miss Washington. And then if everybody's happy that she's doing that, we can put it back on the calendar. I'm sure y'all can agree to something.
I don't know that he can do FIB without being under sentence, but we can get him into private anger management classes.
Well, we do FVIF on DV cases and TPOs all the time. What's it called? Yeah, look on the Center for Domestic Violence. I forget the name of it. Anyway, look on there because I do, just it'll be the same thing. It's just like hypothetically, if she had a TPO against him and I told him to take FVIP, he could take that. He doesn't have to be under a sentence. So it's just as an order giving him to it, he should be able to get it. If there's a problem, just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, so take FVIP and then send that stuff to Miss Washington. Okay, but right now, no further contact.
May I just may I tell something like is there any possibility so we can drop the case? Is if
All right, we're not talking about that right now, ma'am. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, thank you, sir. Just get in the FIP class. I'll be glad to entertain it shortly. Okay.
Thank you, Your
Ms. Snyder. Just shoot me that email. I'd be glad to have it. All right, Ms. Rockwell. We got Naima Fisher, 22 CP 207840, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, theft by receiver, stolen property. Anything, Bostic?
No.
All right, Ms. Fisher, or is it Mr. or Miss Fisher?
It's a miss, Judge Naima.
right.
Do you want me to tell you all about her, or do you want me to tell you that she got out of jail on like July the 6th, and I was hoping we could take her ankle monitor off? She had a cross defendant, Judge. Everybody went to jail. The cross defendant did not have to have an ankle monitor. I was hoping that she could take hers off after the 1 year, 39.
It's been a year?
It will be on July the 5th, I think. No, she got out on July the 7th, so I was hoping we could take it off on July the 6th. I'd like to take it off now. I mean, does it matter if she keeps it on a couple of more days?
Miss Patton.
Your Honor, I believe it was you who I spoke with about you and Judge McBurney talking about the necessity for an ankle monitor for a year. Past the July 5th, I think Ms. Rockwell said, 5th or 6th, I'm okay with the ankle monitor being removed. So far as she's had no other incidences, none reported by pretrial at this time.
All right, just shoot it to me, Ms. Rockwell. She can get it off on July 5th.
I will, and I don't know the best way. It's kind of hard to coordinate Dennis Scheib and I. Dennis represents the cross defendant, obviously, and Dennis and I have kind of talked about it, and both parties would like to change it to no further violent contact. What is the best way to address that? Try to get us all on a modification at the end of the.
Yeah, I guess if they have consents, Ms. Patton, they could probably send it, right? Or get them both on there.
That I'm not sure of, Your Honor. I don't want to misrepresent to the court.
Let's see. So who should need to talk to? Because do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't put Dennis through this, Judge. I told him we had our modification set for today, just in the event he wanted to chime in. I mean, I could figure out a way to get his client in, but it would just result in me getting in trouble having her just, thumbs up or whatever. I'd rather not do that.
Yeah, tell him to file something and we can put it back on there. We'll put it back on, and then you could show up on behalf of your client.
Okay. And Judge, and y'all are closed on this coming Monday, right?
No, Tuesday. No, July the 4th. Just July 4th. We're open on Monday.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have 2 more. I have 3 more, but I'm taking Troy Curb off the calendar, Judge.
You're taking that off? Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. We'll do the orders. Take it off. Miss Rockwell, send it to us.
I'll do that. And Judge, these are 2 kind of just emergency considerations.
I was gonna say, who else do you have? Because that's all I have on.
Well, I have a
gentleman. Go ahead.
I have a gentleman he's out on bond right now. His name is Bobby Bradley, and he is getting evicted. So we have contacted ankle monitoring place, and what I'm going to do is modify the bond just insofar as where he's going to be living. Not that he had the address on the first bond, but I just wanted to notify the court of that. His name is Bobby Bradley. He's
Or he's,
out.
So you're saying he's getting evicted, so he's just got to move. So it needs to be. Did I tell him to still out of? Did I tell him to stay out of Fulton County, or is it just because he's going to give an different address?
Mr. Bradley, because he's on Landrum Drive. I think he's in Fulton now, and he's just moving to another spot in Fulton.
Are you in Fulton County, sir? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I got thumbs up. Okay, so he's just changing addresses.
Yes,
but
yes.
keeping the ankle monitor on. Are you okay with that, Miss Patton?
Yeah, so long as he provides the new address. Does he have it at this time, or?
It's going to be 3041 Landrum Drive, Landrum Drive. And you know what? There's supposed to be a direction on that, northeast, southwest, northwest. I'll let y'all know. It's going to be apartment. Is it 10B, Mr. Bradley? I'll find out.
He said thumbs up.
Okay. Atlanta 30311.
So it's not far from where he's living now.
It's not, Judge.
Okay.
And Judge, do you ever tell somebody they can't work because he was scared to go to work? He and his wife are sort of she's an amputee, but they're sort of a team. That's why they're getting evicted, because he's been staying home.
Well, if his bond order, I mean, I don't have the case number, so if his bond order doesn't say he can leave for work, just add that he can leave, he can work.
Okay, I'd like to do that. She drives and he runs and he's they do Instacart.
Okay, so you can leave for work. You just have to call the ankle monitor company, let them know when you're working, what you're doing, stuff like that, okay?
I'll fix that, Judge, and submit that to you. The last thing that's an
Thank you,
emergency.
Mr. Bradley. Oh, anything else on his, or can he leave?
He can leave.
All right,
And
thank you, Mr. Bradley.
The last person that is kind of an emergency is, I've got Mr. Joshua Daniels. He would like to go, and I filed a very, very detailed motion. He and his parents would like to go visit his ailing grandfather in the Northeast. They're flying into, I've put the flight, the time, where they're staying. The whole family's going because his grandfather's on the back nine. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
Once they get there, they're going to go visit him at this care center where he's living. And on the 7th, they're flying home. So it's going to be up in Rochester, New York, and Roosevelt, New York. They're flying into Rochester. So I just didn't want that to, in case everybody went missing this week, I had requested a chance. Pretrial was not opposed to it. They just wanted me to make sure he'd be okay to travel. And just between me and us girls, I think he's going to be a diversion type of, the adult diversion program.
Right. That's fine, as long as you just, it's fine with me. What about you, Miss Patton? As long as you just filed the itinerary where he's going?
I've already put.
You don't even know the case number, Judge Manning, to even tell you what the charges were or anything like that, to even have an opinion about it.
What's the case number?
Can I give it to you? It's 23 CP. I have 219251, and he was released on pretrial. He works. He has no record. And it's a marijuana case. I don't want to say it's just weed, but I think it's just weed.
And no history.
I don't think he has any history. And I'll let Miss Patton, I'll let you know, but they are leaving on Sunday, and the whole family's going. They don't want to leave him behind, and they're coming back on the 7th.
Understood, Ms. Rockwell. I'm not trying to, be hard. I just want to know what it is that's going on. So I just didn't have any idea that this was coming up. How long are they going to be staying there?
They're going on the 30th, and they're coming back on the 7th.
On the 7th? So a whole week?
Yes, ma'am. the whole mom, dad, and they're going up to see his grandfather, who is in a home up there up in Roosevelt, New York.
But we have no problem with just have him call his case worker at least once while he's up there.
Okay. Well, I told him that, we might have to get him to go do a drug test or this or that or whatever, but he's totally prepared to do anything. And I'll send you that, Miss Patton, before I submit it to the court, the itinerary and all that. They're flying and they're flying home.
Did you look at it, Miss Patton?
I'm trying to find out. My Odyssey's going slow, but I'm prone to, if pretrial is okay with it, I'm sure that they've done the research behind it.
And I thought my Odyssey was not working. I could not open any case today, not one.
It was actually a little squirrely.
Okay.
It's not moving. I don't want to hold you guys up, but it's literally not moving. I can't. Do you have what he was charged with and the amount?
He said it was, I did not, he got a bond at first appearance, pretrial bond. I did not.
So it couldn't have been much.
Well, he
If
said
it's
it was.
pretrial and his drugs, it can be no more than a one-hit wonder.
No, I think it's weed. So is what he tells me. And they also accused him of having a
drug-related object.
Whoa, Mr. Daniels. No. You better not be driving. Goodbye, Mr. Daniels. Goodbye. See you later. You're driving. Bye. We don't do that.
I'm sorry, Judge.
All right, let's see. I got it pulled up now. So it was possession of drug-related objects, possession, manufacturing.
36 grams of divided in separate plastic bags and a grinder.
So that's what with the
Understood. I'll consent to the week vacation to see his grandfather, and my condolences to his family.
All right, just send it to me, Miss Rockwell. And that's it, right?
Thank you so much. That's it. I'll see y'all next Monday, I guess. Just to join in, get my CLE credits.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you,
Ms.
John.
Rhonda. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you
I couldn't tell you can leave.
And thank you, Ms.
Oh,
Moss.
That's
Thank
right. I was actually sticking around to ask a question, and I was just going to wait till the end of the calendar so that everyone else had a chance to go.
All right.
For Richard Wood, who was position 2 on the 3rd add-on calendar.
Right.
I didn't catch it when Your Honor first said it, but his mother texted me. Did you put a stay away order from Jerry Erickson as part of the conditions?
Yes.
Okay. That will present an issue with his address. Jerry Erickson is his stepfather, and he lives at that Holt Road address where he is supposed to reside with his mother. Well, and stepfather. But if there's a no contact provision, then of course he can't stay there.
Let's see. Miss Hunter, have we already put that in the queue? Probably so, because Miss Hunter's on top of it.
I did, but I can amend it. And
Okay. We just do no violent contact.
Okay.
That's perfect. The second thing I was hoping to ask is a little bit like Ms. Rockwell did there. I do have an emergency motion. I wasn't going to put it on tonight since no one had notice. And while I discussed it with Ms. Robinson that, it'd be better if the state could have notice, and I just filed the motion today. But if I could add a bond modification motion onto Thursday's calendar, I can give the name and case number. I'm simply asking for a work exception for his curfew. But I was hoping we could be heard on Thursday so that he doesn't lose his job.
What's he charged with? So I put everything but work?
He was not heard by you. He was granted a bond at first appearance. And
Okay.
the bond was signed by, I believe, Judge Oliver. And the only exceptions he was given was lawyer and medical.
Okay, so what's the case number?
1 second. I had it right in front of me and I just lost it.
(23 CP
There we go.
219405. Ladarius Phillips.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think some people don't have the same spiel down pat like I give all the time. Let's see. Did you pull it up, Miss Patton? You able to see it?
No, Your Honor, nothing is moving on my end. Starting to drive
Which
me.
person? Which Ertz? Andre or the other Tristan?
It's Ladarius Phillips.
Why do I must wrote down the wrong number.
Case number, 23 CP. I can put it in the chat.
219-415 or
405.
Ah, that's it.
So he got a $30,000 bond on June 19th. Yeah, so first appearance. And it had, let's see. And they gave 5,000 on a gang charge. So you know that wasn't me.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
His employ, and if Your Honor will hear us tonight, that is fine, but I was also trying to give the state a little bit of notice.
Your
on
Honor,
this.
the state would request notice specifically because there's a gang charge in it. That I do have to get a member from the gang to.
But, or reach out to Mr. Hawes or something, Miss Rhonda. I mean, they gave him 5,000, he made it. And it doesn't even have, like no social, it didn't even have the typical gang statute, like no social media, no replica weapons, no all that. So yeah, reach out to Mr. Hawes.
Between us, I don't think that charge is going to stick at all. But yeah, I was looking to add the work exception.
Because I think we had was there another gang charge tonight, right? Not a lot of work. But yeah, but I know I get that she can't say if it's assigned to the gang. But yeah, I don't mind to put it on Thursday. Is that enough time for you to have somebody on Thursday, Miss Patton?
I can text Mr. Howells right now. I actually knew him when I was here before, so he's one of the few.
Yeah. So she'll text him. We can do it on Thursday, Miss Ron.
Awesome. Okay, I'll send out an amended add-on calendar with that case number.
Okay. And that's it.